Chapter 91 Disadvantageous Situation. In the distance, Hagoromo Chihin nervously touched his waist. Even with the protection of his ice armor ninjutsu, Senju Tobarama's attack still gave him quite a fright. Damn it, if I hadn't cherished my life and used ice armor ninjutsu to protect myself at the critical moment, Senju Tobarama's attack might have directly ruined the happiness of my latter half of life. Tobarama, are you alright? The middle-aged man stared at Hagoromo Chihin in the distance, asking with concern. Senju Tobarama shook his head. I'm fine. Although Hagoromo Chihin's ninjutsu can appear suddenly at any location, his speed remains constant at the moment he attacks. So, as long as we can react in the interval between his appearance and counterattack, we can deal with him. Hearing Tobarama's words, the middle-aged ninja smiled bitterly and shook his head. It sounded easy, but it wasn't that simple in practice. Just like earlier, when Hagoromo Chihin suddenly appeared and attacked, even he almost didn't react in time. The reason the middle-aged ninja was able to respond just now was entirely because he had anticipated that Hagoromo Chihin might attack Tobarama from behind, which is why he unhesitatingly slashed out after Hagoromo Chihin appeared, aiming to force a defensive move. Of course, even if Hagoromo Chihin hadn't attacked that way, he would have reacted in advance and stopped before attacking Tobarama. Therefore, trying to truly catch the exact moment Hagoromo Chihin appears and attacks to counterattack is incredibly difficult, and he wondered how Tobarama managed to react so quickly. Looking at the wary middle-aged ninja and Senju Tobarama opposite him, Hagoromo Chihin took a deep breath, preparing to launch Ice Leap again. He couldn't be careless this time, otherwise, if Senju Tobarama, that sly old fox, injured his kidney, his happiness for the latter half of his life would be gone. With that thought, Hagoromo Chihin launched his offense, using Ice Leap every second, his figure flickering intermittently, fighting against Senju Tobarama and a top-tier elite Jonin. In terms of raw strength, Hagoromo Chihin was currently only at the level of an ordinary elite Jonin, completely incomparable to a top-tier elite Jonin. If he were to engage in a direct confrontation, he estimated he would be taken down by the top-tier elite Jonin opposite him within a few minutes. But now, relying on Ice Leap, a spatial ninjutsu that was almost a bug, Hagoromo Chihin was able to fight above his rank, single-handedly tying down Senju Tobarama and a top-tier elite Jonin. This clearly showed how much spatial ninjutsu could enhance a ninja's strength. Of course, if Hagoromo Chihin had the hand speed of the future Minato, he could have instantly killed Senju Tobarama right there. Unfortunately, Hagoromo Chihin's hand speed was still not fast enough. Although Ice Leap gave him the ability to surprise, the flaw in his attack speed still limited his full potential. On the other side, Hagoromo Tero's battle was not as easy. He was currently fighting two top-tier elite Jonin alone, and if he weren't exceptionally strong, he would have been defeated long ago. Of course, it was precisely because of his formidable strength that he attracted two opponents of this caliber. After all, Hagoromo Tero's bloodline limit was quite troublesome. Once an enemy was marked by his magnet release, they could be attacked by his weapons at any time. And enemies couldn't constantly use ninjutsu for defense, so Hagoromo Tero often managed to suppress opponents of the same rank. But when opponents of the same rank became two, Hagoromo Tero was completely outmatched. This led to a very awkward situation. At the same rank, Hagoromo Tero would always win in a one-on-one, but in a two-on-one, he would undoubtedly lose. Therefore, at this moment, facing the suppression of two opponents of the same rank, Hagoromo Tero felt an urge to curse. Senju. Style. Heavy Rock Blade. A broadsword, imbued with heavy earth release chakra, instantly slashed down towards Hagoromo Tero with overwhelming force. Magnet Release. Iron Wall. Two giant shuriken instantly shattered into iron filings, forming a rapidly flowing black wall in front of Hagoromo Tero. Boom. The heavy rock blade slammed down, and the resulting airflow rapidly spread outwards. At the same time, a Senju ninja behind Hagoromo Tero instantly batted away a kunai stabbing from behind with a katana wrapped in water, then raised his leg to kick Hagoromo Tero. Senju style. Violent kick. Before the kick even connected, the immense force made Hagoromo Tero feel the impact of the air current. Seeing this, he quickly pulled three giant shuriken and changed their form. Magnet Release, Black Forged Heavy Shield. Bang! A dull thud came from the shield in front, followed by tiny cracks appearing on its surface. Nani! Hagoromo Tero was instantly surprised. How is this guy's strength so great? Realizing what was happening, Hagoromo Taro quickly reinforced the shield with magnet release. At this moment, Hagoromo Taro was truly between a rock and a hard place, caught between a wolf in front and a tiger behind. The heavy rock blade in front didn't allow him any slack, and the kick from behind was incredibly powerful. If either defense failed, he would be directly torn apart. Fortunately, Hagoromo Taro was not helpless in this situation. Hagoromo Taro, possessing 6 giant shuriken, quickly activated his bloodline limit, sending his last remaining shuriken flying towards the person in front. Whoosh! The sound of it cutting through the air forced the Senju ninja wielding the broadsword to turn and block. In an instant, the giant shuriken collided with the broadsword, creating a loud clang. Seizing this opportunity, Hagoromo Taro swiftly pulled back and dodged to the side. Water release. Water vortex slice. The Senju ninja who had been performing the heavy kick saw Hagoromo Taro dodge away, so he instantly retracted his leg, formed hand signs, and attacked Hagoromo Taro. Facing the surging water blade, Hagoromo Taro, whose giant shuriken had not yet returned, could only defend. Earth release, earth wall. Boom! The water blade struck the earth wall, instantly spreading into a large torrent of water. Thus, Hagoromo Taro once again fought 2 against 1, although he was outmatched. Keeping himself alive for a short period was not an issue. As for the Hyuga clan head, the situation was truly evenly matched. Although his opponent was very strong, superior to the Hyuga clan head in both ninjutsu and taijutsu, the Hyuga clan head, relying on his exceptional mastery of genjutsu, managed to force a stalemate. It was just a pity that the Hyuga clan ninjas were now at a slight disadvantage. Chapter 92 Lime Missile. On the battlefield, although the Sarutobi clan had 3 elite Jonin and 10 Jonin supported by the Hagoromo clan, the Saruta clan also had support from the Senju clan. The Senju's year-long preparations allowed the Saruta side to have over 20 additional special Jonin. As the two sides clashed, despite the Sarutobi clan fighting bravely with a surge of courage, falling into a disadvantage was an inevitable outcome. Soon, nearly an hour passed. The high-intensity fighting on the battlefield had exhausted the ninja of both sides. Hagoromo Chiharu, wielding the sword of the wind god, tangled with Senju Tobirama while observing the situation on the battlefield. At this moment, Hagoromo Troy, due to fighting 2 opponents, had accumulated many wounds on his body despite defending with all his might and avoiding direct confrontations, unable to overcome the disparity in strength. Fortunately, these wounds were not deep and did not affect his combat ability. However, the Sarutobi clan head's situation had turned from an even match to a disadvantage. The Senju ninja, relying on their immense chakra reserves and physical prowess, gradually suppressed the Sarutobi clan head, preventing him from counter-attacking and forcing him into a passive defense. Seeing this, Hagoromo Chiharu's heart sank. The situation on the field was not looking good. Senju Tobirama, across from him, had clearly noticed this as well, so he whispered to the middle-aged ninja beside him, "We'll hold him off. Once Uncle Hotaka deals with the Sarutobi clan head, or that Hagoromo clan's magnet release ninja is taken care of, we'll win." The middle-aged ninja beside him nodded, clearly sharing the same thought. The next second, Senju Tobirama formed hand signs again. Water release, water whip jutsu. Suddenly, a whip formed of water appeared in the air, lashing directly towards Hagoromo Chiharu. Seeing this, Hagoromo Chiharu's figure instantly vanished. At the same time, a flash of ice blue light appeared behind Senju Tobirama. Swish! A flowing wind blade directly aimed for Senju Tobirama's back. Splash tilde. Senju Tobirama's body, struck by the blade, suddenly paused, then dissolved into a stream of water, flowing to the ground. The middle-aged ninja beside him instantly slashed out with a sword. Zzzz! A piercing friction sound erupted, followed by a water gun suddenly emerging from the ground, directly piercing towards Hagoromo Chiharu's lower abdomen. Water release. Springing water gun. Crack! A suddenly appearing ice shield blocked the rapidly incoming water gun. Seizing this opportunity, Hagoromo Chiharu's figure flickered, instantly appearing in the distance. TCH, Senju Tobirama's water release is really troublesome, Hagoromo Chiharu muttered, gripping his short sword. When did Senju Tobirama use the water clone? He hadn't even noticed. Pursing his lips in frustration, he looked up at the sky. It should be about time, shouldn't it? It was almost 11 o'clock. If things went smoothly, this battle should see a turning point. In the distance, Hagoromo Troy was struggling against his opponents. Suddenly, a figure appeared beside him, his hand compressing water attribute chakra to its limit. Water release. Exploding strong arm. A sense of danger instantly made Hagoromo Troy's pupils contract. Immediately after, Hagoromo Troy, reacting quickly, swiftly split the 3 giant shuriken around him into iron filings, covering his entire body to form a pitch-black armor. Bang! A deep blue fist slammed into the armor, instantly producing a muffled thud. The next moment, the water fist rapidly expanded and surged towards Hagoromo Troy. The fierce current, like a raging flood, engulfed Hagoromo Troy, and he disappeared from sight. After about 5 or 6 seconds, the water receded, and Hagoromo Troy, drenched, struggled to his feet, the tightness in his chest making him cough up 2 mouthfuls of blood. Cough, cough. Hagoromo Troy wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth with his sleeve, his eyes cautiously fixed on the front. Die! Another Senju ninja instantly charged towards Hagoromo Troy with a broadsword, Senju style, heavy rock blade. Facing the attacking enemy, Hagoromo Troy's eyes narrowed slightly. Should I run? If he were to escape now, he was quite confident he could get away. As long as he went to find the young clan head now, then, relying on the young clan head's bizarre body flicker jutsu, they would be fully confident in escaping from here. However, if that happened, the Sarutobi clan would probably be finished. Thinking this, Hagoromo Troy's movements were not slow at all. He instantly formed hand signs, iron wall. Clang! A huge muffled sound echoed. Hagoromo Troy, hiding behind the iron wall, gritted his teeth, making a decision in his heart. I'm going to run. After all, the Sarutobi clan was ultimately an outsider, he shouldn't sacrifice his life for a third-rate ninja clan. As long as they could return to the Sarutobi clan's territory in time, destroy the Sarutobi clan's supplies, and take away the Sarutobi clan's inherited ninjutsu. Then, even if the Senju helped the Saruta defeat the Sarutobi clan, they wouldn't gain much in the end. Thus, although the Saruta would become the first major ninja clan north of the Hagoromo clan in the future, it wouldn't pose much of a threat to the Hagoromo. As soon as the Hagoromo's strength recovered, the Saruta clan, this cancerous growth, could be easily removed at any time. A myriad of thoughts flashed through his mind, but in the outside world, it was only an instant. However, just as Hagoromo Troy was about to make a move, forcing back the opponent to escape for his life. Earth release. Limestone missile. Suddenly, a loud shout came from afar, followed by several white stone spheres flying directly towards the enemy in front of Hagoromo Troy. Seeing this, the Senju ninja instinctively swung his broadsword. Clang! The blade collided with the stone sphere. Immediately after, the stone sphere suddenly exploded, scattering a large amount of lime. Ah! A tragic scream erupted, and then Hagoromo Troy saw his opponent clutching his eyes, tears streaming out uncontrollably. Seeing this, Hagoromo Troy directly attacked the injured enemy. With a swing of his arm, 2 giant shuriken instantly flew out. Unfortunately, there were 2 opponents. The other Senju ninja, seeing his teammate injured, quickly came to assist, using water release to deflect Hagoromo Troy's attack. Yo, mister, quickie, I told you you were weak, and you still wouldn't admit it. Hagoromo Ishihara landed beside Hagoromo Troy, his face full of teasing. At the same time, a middle-aged man with golden gray hair came to Hagoromo Chiharu's side, formed hand signs, and launched an attack at Senju Tobarama, wind release, 1,000 killing feathers. In an instant, countless feathers made of wind attribute chakra flew directly towards Senju Tobarama and the middle-aged ninja. Seeing this, the middle-aged ninja quickly formed hand signs to defend. Earth release, earth-style wall. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The next second, dense wind feathers, like an overwhelming barrage of arrows, instantly landed on the earth wall, kicking up a large amount of dust. Chapter 93 Tobarama was careless. Boom. The earth wall fell, revealing Senju Tobarama and the middle-aged ninja behind it. Looking at the situation on the battlefield at this moment, even the usually calm Senju Tobarama couldn't help but be moved. With the arrival of more than a dozen ninja, including Hagoromo Ishihara and Hagoromo Titanium, the advantage on the battlefield quickly shifted to the Yuhi clan. Although among the top elite Jonin, even with 2 more ninja of this combat strength from the Hagoromo, the Senju side would still not be at a great disadvantage. But in other aspects, the addition of 5 elite Jonin and a dozen Jonin directly turned the previously disadvantaged Yuhi clan into the advantageous side. Because after a long battle, both sides were somewhat fatigued, but at this moment, the Yuhi clan suddenly received reinforcements. This direct impact, like a heavy punch, fiercely struck the hearts of the Saruta ninja, making the Saruta clan feel a sense of fear. And the most direct change brought by fear was the decrease in combat will. Damn it! How could this happen? Senju Tobarama clenched his fists and cursed in a low voice. No wonder Hagoromo Chiharu had no intention of retreating after the Yuhi clan was at a disadvantage. It turned out he had a backup plan. Thinking of this, Senju Tobarama's heart was filled with anger mixed with self-reproach. How could he not have thought that the other side might have reinforcements? He was too careless. Of course, this couldn't be entirely blamed on Senju Tobarama. After all, supporting the Saruta clan to attack the Yuhi family and complete the 3-sided encirclement of the Hagoromo was originally his strategy, and this strategy was also approved and supported by Senju Butsuma for him to implement. However, now that the plan had been laid out for a year and was about to bear fruit, Senju Butsuma suddenly sent someone to urge him, giving a final deadline of 3 days. Therefore, in his haste, it was inevitable that Senju Tobarama would be inconsiderate and overlook some details. At this moment, compared to Senju Tobarama's anger and self-reproach, Hagoromo Chiharu was in a completely different mood. Uncle Titanium, you've finally arrived. Looking at Hagoromo Titanium beside him, Hagoromo Chiharu couldn't help but grin. His long struggle with Senju Tobarama and the middle-aged ninja was not in vain. The reinforcements he had been waiting for had finally arrived. Hagoromo Titanium smiled. After receiving the young clan leader's letter, the clan leader immediately sent us to support you. Of course, to be faster, Ishihara and I directly led these people here first. As for the remaining dozen or so special Jonin and 20 or so Chunin, they are estimated to arrive in about an hour. Hagoromo Chiharu laughed heartily. It doesn't matter, these people are enough for now. Hagoromo Titanium glanced at the surrounding battle situation, then nodded. That's right, although the several top elite Jonin of the Senju were not at a disadvantage, the Saruta clan's ninja already showed signs of collapse after the Hagoromo reinforcements arrived. So, there was no problem with what the young clan leader said. Tobarama, what do we do now? The middle-aged ninja opposite cautiously watched Hagoromo Chiharu and Hagoromo Titanium, while quietly asking for Senju Tobarama's opinion. In the eyes of the Senju high-ranking members, although Senju Tobarama was still young, his vision was no less than that of an adult, and sometimes he could even think from the clan leader's perspective. Therefore, in the face of the current situation, the middle-aged ninja was still more willing to listen to Senju Tobarama's opinion. Hearing his clan uncle ask him, Senju Tobarama looked around, then gritted his teeth. Let's retreat to the Saruta clan territory first. The middle-aged man nodded, then shouted, retreat. The next second, facing the Yuhi clan with their reinforcements, the Saruta ninja, who had long lost confidence, began to flee towards their clan territory after receiving the order. Seeing this, Hagoromo Chiharu's earlier frustration with Senju Tobarama and the other ninja instantly vanished, and he immediately shouted, want to leave? Did you ask me? Everyone, chase them and kill them. Hagoromo Chiharu's voice, amplified by chakra, instantly spread to every corner of the battlefield. Hagoromo Tro, who had just been severely beaten by 2 Senju ninja, now took the lead and charged forward. You two enjoyed ganging up on me earlier, didn't you? Don't run if you have the guts. However, he stopped after chasing a few steps, then turned his head and looked. Hey! Why aren't you chasing? Hagoromo Ishihara chuckled. I'm just watching you display your kamui. Stop talking nonsense, hurry up and chase with me. Hagoromo Tro looked at Hagoromo Ishihara with an annoyed expression. Seeing this, Hagoromo Ishihara no longer teased him, said, coming, and then followed closely. The Saruta clan's ninjas' retreat was not a chaotic scramble. They let the younger Genin and Chunin retreat first, followed by the remaining Chunin and Genin. After all, for a ninja clan, the low-level combat power is very important. They couldn't just abandon them during a retreat and let them be slaughtered by the enemy. After the Chunin and Genin came the Jonin and Elite Jonin. They blocked the pursuing Yuhi Hagoromo forces while slowly retreating. The last to block the enemy were the remaining elite Jonin of the Saruta clan, as well as Senju Tobarama and 4 top elite Jonin. Of course, the Senju ninja were willing to block the pursuers at the end, partly because they didn't want the Saruta ninja to suffer too many losses, and partly because they were confident that the enemy could not keep them. But if the pursuing forces of the Hagoromo and Yuhi clans threatened their lives, they would definitely abandon the Saruta clan and flee immediately. After all, the Saruta, a third-rate minor clan, was not worth their Senju ninja sacrificing their lives for. Soon, the Hagoromo ninja, along with the Yuhi ninja, pursued them over a large mountain, and after crossing the mountain ahead, they would reach the Saruta clan's territory. Hagoromo Chiharu originally wanted to continue the pursuit, but looking back, everyone was already exhausted after the long battle. At the same time, Hagoromo Tro, a top elite Jonin, was also heavily depleted and suffered some injuries after fighting 2 opponents. Although these injuries were not fatal, dragging them out would not be a good thing. Therefore, after some deliberation, Hagoromo Chiharu decided to retreat first, and after a few hours of rest, they would then head to the Saruta clan territory and eliminate the Saruta clan. Anyway, the Senju were currently fighting their old rivals, the Uchiha, and the 2 sides were locked in an intense battle, making it impossible for them to send additional forces to support this side. So, even if they delayed for some time, it would not be a big deal. After he expressed his thoughts, Hagoromo Tro and the others thought about it and agreed with Hagoromo Chiharu's view, and the Yuhi clan leader naturally wouldn't sing any opposing tunes at this time. After all, among the 4 people present, each person's strength was no worse than his, not to mention that their Yuhi clan had already decided to become an affiliated ninja clan of the Hagoromo clan. Therefore, at this critical juncture, he didn't need to argue with Hagoromo Chiharu, the young clan leader, over such an issue. Chapter 94 Intelligence Scroll. Around noon, the Yuhi clan and the Hagoromo clan returned to the Yuhi clan's territory, chatting and laughing. The renewed support from the Hagoromo clan temporarily resolved the crisis faced by the Yuhi clan. Therefore, under these circumstances, the Yuhi ninja felt much more at ease. Facing the relaxed smiles of the Yuhi ninja, the Hagoromo clan had also experienced that kind of desperate clan extermination crisis, so they could more or less empathize at this moment. However, unlike the Yuhi clan, the Hagoromo clan's extermination crisis was overcome by themselves, rather than relying on the rescue of other ninja clans to survive. Therefore, looking at these chatting and laughing Yuhi ninja, every Hagoromo clansman felt a sense of pride in their hearts, but they just didn't show it on their faces. In the Yuhi clan's council hall, Hagoromo Chihin sat at the head, with everyone else seated in order. The Yuhi clan head sat in the first position on the left column. Young clan head, the injured have already been arranged for treatment. What should we do next? Hagoromo Chihin said with a smile. After the morning's battle, everyone is tired, so after lunch, everyone should rest for a while. We will launch an attack on the Saruta clan's territory at 3 in the afternoon, striving to eliminate the Saruta clan before nightfall. At this time, the Saruta side only had 4 top-tier elite Jonin, and on their side, Hagoromo Chihin alone could hold off one of the opponents. Therefore, in the upcoming battle, the advantage is theirs. As long as they can eliminate the Saruta clan's lower-level combat power, then the Senju clan, seeing that the situation is unfavorable, will be very likely to retreat. After all, the Senju are currently at war with the Uchiha. For a small Saruta clan, the Senju would have to be out of their minds to leave so much combat power and fight to the death with the Hagoromo. Seeing Hagoromo Chihin say this, the Yuhi clan head nodded with a smile. Everything will be as the young clan head says. After determining the specific time for the attack on the Saruta clan's territory, this meeting, which wasn't really a meeting, concluded. These newly arrived Hagoromo ninja went to have lunch as arranged by the Yuhi clan, while Hagoromo Chihin returned to his own residence. Woof. 250. Standing at the courtyard gate, the dog's bark was heard before it was seen. Hearing this sound, Hagoromo Chihin's forehead instantly bulged with veins in anger, and he reached out to take off the scabbard from his waist. You stupid dog, this old man is going to make you understand what a master's authority is today. Saying that, Hagoromo Chihin kicked open the door and was about to hit the stupid dog with the scabbard. However, just as he was about to make his move, the stupid dog suddenly spat out 2 thumb-sized scrolls from its mouth, then lay on the ground with its tongue out, looking at Hagoromo Chihin with an expression of waiting for praise. Seeing this, Hagoromo Chihin suspiciously put down the scabbard he was about to use to discipline the stupid dog, then picked up the 2 scrolls. These were not rare scrolls, but merely small scrolls used to transmit messages. After examining the scrolls, Hagoromo Chihin judged that they must have been used recently, no more than a week ago at most. With a sense of anticipation like opening a blind box, Hagoromo Chihin opened one of the scrolls. What does this mean? The scroll only contained a pattern that looked somewhat like a fork, and nothing else. Looking at the pattern, Hagoromo Chihin felt a bit familiar but couldn't make heads or tails of it, unable to understand what the scroll was trying to convey. With doubts, Hagoromo Chihin opened the second scroll. This is. Hagoromo Chihin's pupils instantly constricted. On the scroll, several crooked words were clearly written, suspected Sanju. It was clear that the person who recorded the scroll at the time must have been in a very dangerous situation, so after hastily writing these 4 words, they did not continue. Now, combining it with the previous scroll, wasn't that half of the Senju clan crest? No wonder that pattern looked so familiar, yet he couldn't remember where he had seen it. So that's how it is. At this moment, Hagoromo Chihin no longer cared about disciplining the stupid dog. He picked up the soft flesh behind the stupid dog's neck and asked, "Stupid dog, where did you get this?" The stupid dog shook its head, motioning for Hagoromo Chihin to let go, then stood up and ran out. Seeing this, Hagoromo Chihin followed with a solemn expression. Soon, 1 person and 1 dog arrived at the center of the Uchiha clan's territory. This was a residence slightly different from its surroundings, with the courtyard gate tightly shut. Just as Hagoromo Chihin was hesitating whether to go in, the stupid dog rushed forward and directly butted the door open with its head. Hagoromo Chihin instantly wanted to say something to express his feelings at that moment. "Young clan head Chihin," a pleasant voice came from inside the courtyard. Hagoromo Chihin looked in the direction of the voice and saw a young girl sitting under the eaves, holding a short sword in her hand, with a whetstone at her feet, looking up at him. Seeing this, Hagoromo Chihin no longer paid attention to the stupid dog, but looked at the girl and asked, "You are?" Uchiha smiled. "The battle this morning dulled my weapon a bit. Lunch isn't ready yet, so I'm sharpening it first." Saying that, she shook her short sword in her hand. By this time, the stupid dog had already run to a house and sat down, then turned back and stuck out its tongue at Hagoromo Chihin. Uchiha saw Hagoromo Chihin standing at the door and not coming in, so she put down her short sword and stood up. "Young clan head Chihin, would you like to come in and sit for a while?" Hearing this, Hagoromo Chihin nodded in agreement and walked in. Young clan head Chihin's life-saving grace this morning, I truly don't know how to thank him. Uchiha saw that Hagoromo Chihin had no intention of speaking, so she took the initiative to start a conversation. Hagoromo Chihin smiled. "You're too polite, just call me Chihin." Then, he turned and walked towards the stupid dog. "This room is." Hagoromo Chihin pointed at the house in front of the stupid dog. Uchiha said, "It's father's study. Father usually handles clan affairs here." "Is that so?" Hagoromo Chihin nodded thoughtfully. "The Uchiha clan head's study. It seems the Uchiha clan head really knows something." 2 scrolls, presumably intelligence sent back by 2 different people. Different intelligence, yet both pointed to the Senju clan. This was almost undeniable evidence, yet the Uchiha clan head stubbornly insisted he knew nothing. Moreover, to prove his words were not false, he even directly sent his daughter to accompany Hagoromo Chihin to the Saruta clan's territory to investigate intelligence. This guy's heart is truly dirty. However, what Hagoromo Chihin couldn't understand was, since the Uchiha clan head had already decided to tell him he knew nothing, why would he leave behind such fatal evidence as intelligence scrolls? Chapter 95 The Origin of the Scroll. Young clan leader, Chiyu, seeing Yu Hanyi suddenly lost in thought and not responding for a long time, couldn't help but call out softly. Yu Hanyi, snapping back to reality, looked at her. "What's wrong?" Chiyu shook her head. "Nothing, I just saw that the young clan leader hadn't spoken for a while, so I was curious what he was thinking about." Yu Hanyi smiled and casually brushed her off. "Nothing really, I just suddenly remembered that my dog hasn't had his meal yet." Woof. Hearing this, the silly dog immediately stood up excitedly. "Oh, then I'll go prepare it for him." With that, Chiyu was about to go get some food for the silly dog. Seeing this, Yu Hanyi immediately stopped her. No need, we'll eat when we get back. After saying that, Yu Hanyi immediately took the silly dog and walked out of the courtyard gate. After all, having learned that the Yuhi clan leader indeed knew about the Senju clan, he was already considering how to kill him. How could he possibly be in the mood to eat with Chiyu now? He knew that when he went to the Saruta clan to gather intelligence this morning, if he hadn't been protected by a spatial ninjutsu like Ice Jump, he would have likely died in the Saruta clan. Therefore, regarding the Yuhi clan leader, who had almost plotted his death, if he didn't retaliate, he would truly be restless. What's more, after the Yuhi clan became a subordinate ninja clan to the Uchiha, if such a cunning clan leader remained in power, it wouldn't be a good thing for the Uchiha. So, for all reasons, he had to kill this guy now. In the courtyard, looking at Yu Hanyi's receding figure, Chiyu's eyes revealed a hint of disappointment. She had wanted to keep young clan leader Hanyi for lunch, but she didn't expect him to just leave like that. Watching Yu Hanyi's figure disappear around the corner, Chiyu shook her head regretfully and withdrew her gaze. However, just as she was about to continue sharpening her short sword, footsteps sounded behind her again. She turned around and saw, "Father." The Yuhi clan leader nodded and asked with a touch of concern, "You weren't hurt in this morning's battle, were you?" Chiyu smiled and shook her head. "Don't worry, father, although I'm not as talented as young clan leader Hanyi, I'm not worse than an ordinary ninja, so I wasn't really hurt." Hearing this, the Yuhi clan leader couldn't help but sigh with emotion. Young clan leader Uchiha is indeed extraordinarily gifted. Although in terms of chakra alone, Yu Hanyi was only at the level of a regular elite jonin, in this morning's battle, this young clan leader was able to single-handedly hold back a top elite jonin from the Senju clan, as well as Senju Butsuma's son. Such talent and strength must be on par with the young clan leaders of the Senju and Uchiha clans. Hearing her father praise young clan leader Uchiha, Chiyu's lips curved slightly upwards, and she smiled. "Yes, if young clan leader Hanyi hadn't saved me this morning, I might not have made it back. It's just a pity, the young clan leader just came, and I wanted to keep him for lunch to express my gratitude, but I didn't expect him to just leave." At this point, Chiyu's face showed a hint of regret. The Yuhi clan leader beside her was surprised. Young clan leader Uchiha was here. "Yes." Chiyu nodded. "He just left a short while ago. Didn't you see him, father?" The Yuhi clan leader shook his head. "No, did young clan leader Uchiha come for something?" "I'm not sure. He brought a dog and just walked in, then we chatted for a bit and he left. He probably came in because the dog suddenly ran into our house." "I see." The Yuhi clan leader nodded knowingly, then walked into the house, casually asking, "What did you two talk about?" Chiyu followed behind. Young clan leader Hanyi was standing in front of your study, father, and asked what that place was. After I told him, he left. Study. The Yuhi clan leader stopped, his brows slightly furrowed. After about 3 or 4 seconds, he seemed to remember something. Not good. The Yuhi clan leader's pupils constricted, and he immediately turned and ran towards the study. Bang! The Yuhi clan leader pushed open the door and rushed directly to the desk. On the desk were some scrolls used to record missions, as well as ledgers detailing the clan's financial status, all haphazardly arranged. The Yuhi clan leader rummaged through the desk for a long time, but couldn't find what he was looking for. Sigh. The Yuhi clan leader propped his hands on the desk, his eyes half closed, and slumped weakly into the chair. They're gone. How could this happen? Chiyu, who had walked in, saw her father's appearance and, worried, hesitated before asking, "Father, are you looking for something?" Chiyu's voice gradually brought the Yuhi clan leader back to his senses. He looked at Chiyu and suddenly sat up. Did young clan leader Uchiha enter this room? Chiyu shook her head. No, he just stood at the door for a while and then left. Is that so? The Yuhi clan leader leaned back weakly against the chair. Although he didn't know how those 2 intelligence scrolls disappeared, he was certain that those 2 scrolls were now in Yu Hanyi's hands. Otherwise, why would Yu Hanyi suddenly come to their house for no reason? With a helpless sigh, the Yuhi clan leader recalled the scene from 3 days ago. At that time, he had just obtained those 2 intelligence scrolls. He had only looked at one of them, which read a suspected Senju. He hadn't had time to look at the other intelligence scroll when a clan member burst in, saying that Saruta had launched a large-scale attack and the clan members outside were struggling to hold on. Upon receiving this news, he, in a panic, threw down the scrolls and led the remaining clan members to provide support. Later, the Saruta clan pressed on relentlessly, and he had to remain vigilant, constantly monitoring the Saruta clan's movements. The intelligence on the scrolls wasn't important at the time, so he completely forgot about the 2 intelligence scrolls in the study. Now, thinking back, why was he so impulsive then? Why couldn't he have destroyed the scrolls before going to support them? Sigh, I don't know what's written on the other scroll. I hope it's not any confirmed intelligence. The regretful Yuhi clan leader reached out and rubbed his cheek, his heart filled with helplessness and a touch of fear. He didn't know how young clan leader Uchiha would handle this matter after getting those 2 intelligence scrolls. Father. Seeing her father's distressed expression, Chiyu was at a loss for what to do. The Yuhi clan leader, hearing her voice, waved his hand, "You go out first." Chapter 96. You were really talented. Seeing that his father didn't want to say anything more, Chiyu hesitated for a moment, then turned and walked out of the study, closing the door behind him. Looking up at the roof, the Chiyu clan head, his face full of bitterness, murmured, "I hope young clan head Hagoromo won't make things difficult for my Chiyu clan." Meanwhile, Hagoromo Chihin had already returned to the residence arranged for him by the Chiyu family. Looking at the silly dog in front of him, Hagoromo Chihin asked, "Hey, how did you get these 2 scrolls?" Woof. Hearing Hagoromo Chihin ask him, the silly dog immediately started running and jumping around the courtyard, woof woof woof. Watching the silly dog's actions, Hagoromo Chihin roughly understood what was going on. In short, what happened was indeed a bit absurd. This morning, the silly dog saw that the sand sculpture got benefits for helping deliver a letter, so it thought that if it also made some contribution, it would also get to eat roast suckling pig. Don't doubt whether the silly dog has this kind of intelligence. In fact, its IQ is similar to that of Kakashi's pug, Pakun. In the future, it just can't speak. The reason it usually seems rather foolish is simply due to its nature. It often acts silly, which makes it appear like an idiot, but in reality, this silly dog is never truly dumb. Thus, considering that Hagoromo Chihin suspected the Chiyu clan head was a cunning old fox but lacked evidence, the silly dog took advantage of the morning battle to sneak into the Chiyu clan head's home. Facing a table full of papers and scrolls in the study, the silly dog looked for a while, then decisively snatched 2 small scrolls that looked most special. Then, what happened was the silly dog spitting out 2 small scrolls after Hagoromo Chihin returned. After understanding the whole story, Hagoromo Chihin immediately rubbed the dog's head with a smile. "Haha, you're a good dog, you've made a contribution. After the Chiyu clan's war ends, I'll roast 5 suckling pigs for you." It must be said, this silly dog was really useful at a critical moment. It even managed to retrieve information scrolls. He hadn't raised it in vain. Woof. Ha, ha. When the silly dog heard Hagoromo Chihin was going to roast suckling pigs for it, it immediately barked excitedly twice, baring its teeth and panting with its tongue out. "Young clan head, come, it's time to eat." At this moment, Hagoromo Tro walked in, carrying a food box. Hagoromo Chihin rubbed the dog's head twice, then went into the house with Hagoromo Tro. "Uncle Tro, how are your injuries?" Hagoromo Chihin asked. Hagoromo Tro laughed heartily. "Haha, they're just minor injuries, they won't affect my fighting." As he spoke, he opened the food box and took out the meal. Lunch was simple, just 3 dishes and some rice. Hagoromo Chihin took the bowl, and while eating, he handed over the 2 small scrolls. Seeing this, Hagoromo Tro put his bowl on the table, ate with one hand, and with the other, opened one of the small scrolls. It looks familiar. Like Hagoromo Chihin, the first scroll Hagoromo Tro opened also had the half Senju clan crest pattern. Hagoromo Chihin picked up a piece of beef. "Look at the other one." Hagoromo Tro put down the scroll in his hand and, with a puzzled expression, opened the other one, Senju. The information on the scroll instantly stunned Hagoromo Tro. After he reacted, he quickly looked at Hagoromo Chihin and asked, "Young clan head, this is?" "Found it in the Chiyu clan head's study. It seems it was there before we arrived," Hagoromo Chihin said as if in casual conversation, not showing any angry expression. However, Hagoromo Tro, opposite him, couldn't remain so composed. Bang! He slammed his palm on the table, as this Chiyu clan head looking for death. He knew the intelligence beforehand and dared to conceal it from us, making us risk our lives to investigate the Saruta clan's intelligence. Are we fools to be tricked just because we don't get angry? As he spoke, Hagoromo Tro, consumed by anger, suddenly flipped his bowl upside down on the table. Damn it, this bastard is really infuriating. Looking at the overturned rice bowl on the table, Hagoromo Chihin couldn't help but roll his eyes. Wasting rice is shameful. Then he looked at Hagoromo Tro and said, "All right, why get so angry over a dead man?" Dead man, Hagoromo Tro, not having caught on, asked blankly, "What dead man? When did the Chiyu clan head die?" "Why don't I know?" Hagoromo Chihin put down his bowl and chopsticks. "He'll die this afternoon, or tonight if that works." "Now you know." Hagoromo Tro was even more stunned to hear this. "Afternoon. Tonight. Young clan head, can you predict the future?" "What predicting the future?" Hagoromo Chihin glared at Hagoromo Tro. "This guy actually tried to screw me over. If it weren't for Ice Leap, I probably would have died in the Saruta clan territory, so I plan to kill him this afternoon, understand?" Hearing this, Hagoromo Tro nodded knowingly. "So that's how it is." Hagoromo Tro didn't show much surprise. After all, the young clan head had said before that he would kill the Chiyu clan head once there was solid evidence. His previous blank expression was just because he hadn't reacted immediately. Seeing that Hagoromo Tro had understood, Hagoromo Chihin continued, "However, the Chiyu clan will eventually become our vassals. If we just kill their clan head, it will definitely create resentment among them. Then what should we do?" Hagoromo Tro asked subconsciously. Hagoromo Chihin looked at him. "So this still has to be done by you?" "Me?" Hagoromo Tro pointed at himself, a bit bewildered. "That's right." Hagoromo Chihin nodded. "When we attack the Saruta clan territory this afternoon, the Chiyu clan head will definitely be dealing with a top-tier Senju elite Jonin. Towards the end of the battle, you use magnet release to ambush him, making him expose a weakness. This way, the Senju ninja will definitely seize the opportunity to kill him. This way, we both get rid of the Chiyu clan head and prevent the Chiyu clan from holding a grudge against us." How perfect. After hearing this plan, Hagoromo Tro's mouth twitched twice. "Young clan head, you are truly cunning." What did you say?" Hagoromo Chihin's eyes narrowed slightly, interrupting Hagoromo Tro. Seeing the young clan head's expression, Hagoromo Tro immediately chuckled. "You are truly brilliant, to come up with such a perfect plan." "Brilliant my ass, you old sly fox, you're making me do such a treacherous task as an ambush. If it weren't for your extraordinary talent, considerable strength, and the fact that you're the young clan head, I'd give you a piece of my mind." Ha 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 ha. Hearing Hagoromo Tro's praise, Hagoromo Chihin laughed triumphantly. "Ha ha, I know you want to call me cunning, but I just want you to praise me against your conscience. How about it, aren't you annoyed?" Chapter 97. Stealing a chicken, losing the rice. It quickly approached 3 p.m. The second batch of ninja from the Hagoromo clan, consisting of over a dozen special Jonin and more than 20 Chunin, all arrived at the Yuhi clan's compound. After some consolidation, all the ninja from the Hagoromo clan and the Yuhi clan gathered, waiting outside the Yuhi clan's territory. "Hagoromo young clan head, everyone is here." The Yuhi clan head looked at Hagoromo Chiharu with trepidation, trying to discern something from Hagoromo Chiharu's demeanor. Unfortunately, Hagoromo Chiharu's attitude showed no hint of anger or dissatisfaction. He still smiled as usual and replied, I know." At this moment, Hagoromo Terua, Hagoromo Ishihara, and Hagoromo Titanium also came to Hagoromo Chiharu's side. Among them, Hagoromo Terua glanced at the Yuhi clan head, then said, "Young clan head, everyone from our clan has also arrived." For some reason, the Yuhi clan head next to him suddenly felt a sense of dread. After he came to his senses, he shook his head again. Perhaps he was overthinking it. They were the stronger side in this attack on the Saruta clan. How could there be an accident? Hearing that the ninja from the Yuhi clan and the Hagoromo clan were ready, Hagoromo Chiharu scanned the crowd, then turned and advanced. "Depart." As his voice fell, he took the lead, rushing towards the Saruta clan's territory, followed closely by the Yuhi clan head, Hagoromo Terua, Hagoromo Ishihara, and Hagoromo Titanium, 4 top-tier elite Jonin. Then, the combined forces of the Yuhi clan and the Hagoromo clan, a large group of ninja, surged towards the Saruta clan's territory. Tobirama, what do we do now? Do we stay or leave? In the Saruta clan's council hall, Senju Hotu looked at the young man beside him and asked. In reality, he personally leaned towards retreating immediately. After all, the Yuhi clan had the support of the Hagoromo, and the other side had sent 3 top-tier elite jonin directly, plus the Yuhi clan head, making it a total of 4. Moreover, that brat Hagoromo Chiharu, though not as strong as them in raw power, was extremely troublesome with that strange ninjutsu. Therefore, the current situation was that without family support, they could no longer help the Saruta clan swallow the Yuhi clan, who had Hagoromo's support. However, family support was simply wishful thinking in this situation. One must know that the family was currently engaged in a fierce battle with the Uchiha. The family had already ordered them to return to that battlefield for support within 3 days, so how could there be any forces to support them here? Facing Senju Hotu's question, Senju Tobirama was filled with difficulty. To be honest, supporting the Saruta clan to annex the Yuhi clan, and thereby jointly completing the encirclement of the Hagoromo clan with the Shimura Sarutobi to the west, was the first plan he had designed and participated in. As the initiator of this plan, he certainly did not want it to end prematurely. But now, it seemed he had no choice but to abandon this plan. However, if he gave up, he was truly unwilling. Damn Uchiha, damn Hagoromo. The more he thought, the more irritated Senju Tobirama became, losing his usual calm. In his anger, he slammed his fist on the table, causing the table to shake and the water glass on it to tip over, spilling water all over the table. Yes, if the Uchiha hadn't tied up so much of our strength, how would we be facing this situation now? Senju Hotu next to him couldn't help but nod in agreement. This damned Uchiha clan was truly too detestable. After a long silence, Senju Tobirama, clenching his fists, let out a long sigh, then weakly loosened his grip. Let's retreat. Senju Tobirama was a person who understood how to size up a situation. They were indeed powerless to deal with the Yuhi clan, who had Hagoromo's support, now. And on the Uchiha battlefield, the Senju clan was somewhat fatigued, so. Under Senju Butsuma's command, he no longer had the right to stay here and contend with the Saruta clan. At this moment, the instant Senju Tobirama's voice fell, the new Saruta clan head could no longer hold back. Lord Tobirama, if your esteemed clan retreats, what will become of our Saruta clan? Although he was only an elite jonin, he was no match for the Senju clan's 3 top-tier elite jonin and Senju Tobirama. But this was a matter of life and death for the Saruta clan. At this moment, as the Saruta clan head, how could he choose to remain silent? If the Senju clan really abandoned the Saruta and retreated, wouldn't their Saruta clan be doomed facing the combined forces of the Yuhi clan and the Hagoromo clan? One must know that just 2 days ago, they were joyfully planning to destroy the Yuhi clan and annex the Yuhi clan's resources and ninjutsu to strengthen the Saruta clan. But in the blink of an eye, their Saruta clan was facing the prospect of being abandoned and annihilated. Who could bear this? Looking at the pleading Saruta clan head, Senju Tobirama hesitated for a moment, then spoke. Then why doesn't the Saruta clan head tidy up and move the Saruta clan's territory near the Senju clan? There are still some empty lands near our Senju clan, which are more than enough to accommodate the Saruta clan. It must be said that Senju Tobirama's mind was still very sharp. Although the plan to support the Saruta clan in annexing the Yuhi family failed, if the Saruta clan was packaged and taken back, it would still be a small profit. At that time, if the Saruta clan moved there, they would tacitly become an affiliated ninja clan of the Senju clan. In this way, the Saruta family's resources and ninjutsu would all have to be handed over to the Senju clan, and even the Saruta clan would have to obey the Senju clan's commands. With such a result, Senju Tobirama would not have worked in vain. Facing Senju Tobirama's proposal, the Saruta clan heads' heart fell into a difficult struggle. Previously, when the Senju clan supported them, they didn't have to become an affiliated ninja clan of the Senju clan. As long as the plan succeeded, they would maintain friendly relations with the Senju clan and be able to act promptly when the Senju clan needed them. That would be enough. Overall, they still had a considerable degree of autonomy. But now, if the Saruta became an affiliated ninja clan of the Senju clan, wouldn't they be trying to catch a chicken only to lose the rice instead? A series of schemes and calculations not only failed to annex the Yuhi clan and make the Saruta clan stronger, but also put themselves in jeopardy. This was simply a rip-off. But in this situation, if they didn't agree, it seemed there was no other option. After all, if they didn't agree to become an affiliated ninja clan of the Senju clan, they would be jointly annihilated by the Yuhi clan and the Hagoromo clan. Finally, after an internal struggle, the Saruta clan head chose to compromise. I understand, Lord Tobarama, I agree. However, mid-sentence, an unexpected event occurred. Chapter 98 Lime Powder. I understand, Tobarama-sama, I agree. Just as clan head Saruta was speaking, a figure suddenly flashed in, Tobarama-sama. Hodu-sama, the Yuhi clan and the Hagoromo clan are attacking. What? The sudden words startled Senju Hodu, who abruptly stood up. Senju Tobarama, who was nearby, was also somewhat astonished. He had originally thought that after the enemy retreated, they would only launch another attack tomorrow. But he didn't expect that only 3 hours had passed, and the enemy had already reached the Saruta clan territory. Damn Hagoromo chicken, does he have to be so impatient? Senju Hodu, realizing the situation, quickly looked at Senju Tobarama. Tobarama, what do we do now? The other 3 top elite jonin of the Senju clan, as well as clan head Saruta, also looked at Senju Tobarama. Senju Tobarama stood up without hesitation. The enemy has already attacked, and it won't be easy for us to retreat directly. Let's go meet them first. The 5 people present nodded, and clan head Saruta proactively said, then, Tobarama-sama, I'll go organize my clansmen first. Senju Tobarama nodded, and then clan head Saruta left the council hall to organize the Saruta ninja in the clan territory to prepare for the enemy. After clan head Saruta had gone far, Senju Tobarama looked at everyone, and spoke with a solemn expression. 4 clan uncles, if things become unmanageable this afternoon, then we will abandon the Saruta clan and retreat directly. The current situation was clearly unfavorable to them. If they chose to stay with the Saruta clan and fight to the death with the enemy, then it was likely that no one would survive. Therefore, seeing that the battle was unfavorable, retreating was the best course of action. After all, Saruta was not part of the Senju clan, so abandoning them was acceptable. The 4 clearly understood this principle, so they all nodded in agreement. Tobarama continued. Then please, 4 clan uncles, tell this news to the clansmen. The Senju's support for the Saruta clan couldn't have just involved these 5 people in the council hall. In fact, over the past year, the Senju had continuously sent some jonin and special jonin to assist the Saruta clan. If they were to retreat, they would have to tell this news to the other clansmen. They couldn't just the 5 of them turn and flee for their lives, ignoring the fate of the other clansmen. As his words fell, the 4 of them, with serious expressions, turned and left the council hall to secretly inform the other clansmen of this news. Outside the Saruta clan territory, Hagoromo Chicken led the Yuhi clan and the Hagoromo clan, marching majestically towards the Saruta clan territory. The ninja on alert on the outskirts of the Saruta clan territory, facing such a large number of enemies, were almost instantly killed and left lying dead with no power to resist. Soon, Hagoromo Chicken led his people closer to the Saruta clan territory. And at this moment, the Saruta ninja, who had been suddenly attacked, had just assembled outside the clan territory's main gate. Seeing this, Hagoromo Ishihara, who was nearby, raised his hand and unleashed a wide-range ninjutsu, earth release, ash dust technique. In an instant, white lime powder, like sand, directly obscured everyone's vision. This wasn't over yet. Immediately after, Hagoromo Titanium, who was nearby, again cooperated with hand signs and performed a ninjutsu, wind release, gentle breeze turbulence. This was a ninjutsu developed by Hagoromo Titanium. When performed, it could only blow a gentle breeze forward, causing no real damage, and its ninjutsu rank was only C rank. However, once this ninjutsu was combined with Hagoromo Ishihara's ash dust technique, its power was truly extraordinary. Compound ninjutsu. Lime haze technique. The next moment, a thick haze of lime powder, like dense fog, continuously and rapidly blew towards the Saruta clan. The Saruta clan had not fought with Hagoromo Ishihara before, so they did not understand his techniques. But the Senju ninja who had fought with Hagoromo more than a year ago recognized this technique, quickly used wind release to blow these things away. As his words fell, the Senju ninja took the lead in forming hand signs, Wind Release, Great Breakthrough. Immediately after, under the Senju ninja's command, all the ninja capable of Wind Release began to form hand signs and counterattack. Wind Release, Gale Palm. Wind Release, Spiraling Sphere. For a time, various Wind Release ninjutsu flew everywhere. The massive lime fog that had already reached everyone's eyes was directly split apart by the various Wind Release ninjutsu. However, ninja capable of Wind Release were still a minority. As the massive lime fog dispersed, those Saruta ninja far from the Wind Release ninja were directly enveloped by the lime powder. Ah! In an instant, screams rose one after another. The Saruta ninja, whose eyes were blinded by the lime, all covered their eyes and wailed. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the ninja of the Yuhi clan and the Hagoromo clan quickly approached the enemy, directly throwing explosive tags and shuriken, and other items for long-range attacks. Boom! Another series of explosions accompanied by wails. At this time, Hagoromo Ishihara had stopped performing ninjutsu, and the diffusing lime powder, under the blowing of Wind Release and explosions, had decreased in concentration. After Hagoromo Ishihara and Hagoromo Titanium's ninjutsu opening, the war officially began. Hagoromo Chicken was the first to attack Senju Tobarama, Ice Release, Swallow Snowstorm. Seeing this, Senju Tobarama quickly formed hand signs, Water Release, Water Feather Arrow. Ice Shuriken collided with water arrows, splashing water and ice chips. Hagoromo Chicken took the opportunity to close indirectly, Rasengan. Senju Hodu, who was not far away, saw this and wanted to come to help, but Hagoromo Taro immediately followed and attacked, Magnet Release, Giant Shuriken. A giant shuriken with a diameter of nearly 2 meters, carrying a strong whistling sound, instantly flew towards Senju Hodu. Damn it! Senju Hodu cursed under his breath, then channeled chakra and jumped sideways. The giant shuriken whistled and came beneath Senju Hodu. Senju Hodu, lying sideways in midair, his pupils constricted, and chakra gathered at his elbow, Senju style, violent impact. Boom! A huge sound accompanied by airflow erupted, and the giant shuriken was directly slammed into the ground. Senju Hodu, landing, pushed off the ground with force, causing spiderweb-like cracks to appear, and his figure instantly vanished. When he reappeared, he was already beside Hagoromo Taro, Senju style, violent impact punch. At this moment, the ninja on the battlefield had already begun a brutal struggle. Thanks to Hagoromo Ishihara and Hagoromo Titanium's initial wave of lime powder attacks, the Chunin and Genin of the Saruta clan were almost immediately at a disadvantage upon encounter. Some Genin were even killed instantly because their eyes were blinded by the lime. Time slowly passed. After more than 10 minutes, although the battles between the Jonin were still undecided, the battles between the Chunin and Genin had visibly shown a clear advantage and disadvantage. Hagoromo Taro, glancing at the situation on the battlefield and remembering the young clan head's command, began to intentionally and unintentionally shift his and Senju Hodu's battleground towards the Yuhi clan head's side. Chapter 99 The Death of the Shiri clan leader. Ice Release. Wolf Pack Hunt. Howl. 5 ice wolves, their eyes glowing red, instantly lunged ferociously at Senju Tobarama. Facing Hagoromo Chicken's ninjutsu, the already exhausted Senju Tobarama had no choice but to push his body to its limits, using ninjutsu once again to defend. Water Release. Water Dragon Bullet Jutsu. A water dragon surged forth, directly scattering the 5 ice wolves. Ha! Ha! The water dragon seemed to have drained Senju Tobarama's last bit of chakra. After dispatching the 5 ice wolves, Senju Tobarama suddenly knelt on one knee, supporting himself with his thigh, gasping for air. Seeing this, Hagoromo Chicken chuckled and walked over. Tobarama, you can see through my ice leap and react in advance, but what good does that do? The gap in raw power isn't something you can bridge just by seeing through my ninjutsu. Although Senju Tobarama, relying on his excellent spatial talent, could always react to Hagoromo Chicken's ice leap and counter it. In a one-on-one fight, even if Hagoromo Chicken didn't use ice leap for a sneak attack, he could still directly defeat Senju Tobarama. Indeed, Senju Tobarama, almost completely out of chakra and looking at him with difficulty, was the best proof. On the other side, Hagoromo Taro, who had been intent on following the young clan leader's order to eliminate the Yuhi clan leader, had already moved his battlefield with Senju Kodo closer to the Yuhi clan leader. At this moment, the Yuhi clan leader was clashing with a top elite Jonin from the Senju clan, and the two were locked in an intense battle. That Senju ninja, relying on his formidable taijutsu, launched wave after wave of attacks. If it weren't for the Yuhi clan leader's excellent genjutsu, occasionally using it to disrupt his opponent's attack rhythm, he would have likely fallen into a disadvantage long ago. That Senju clan guy's taijutsu is really strong. If the Yuhi clan leader takes a hit, he'll probably lose half his life. Hagoromo Taro calculated in his mind while fighting Senju Kodo. This also showed that Hagoromo Taro's magnet release indeed gave him an edge over other top elite Jonin. After all, Senju Kodo was already marked by Hagoromo Taro's magnet release, and Hagoromo Taro's shuriken and kunai in the vicinity were continuously and automatically attacking Senju Kodo. At the same time, Hagoromo Taro was also constantly launching active attacks. It could be said that Senju Kodo was currently overwhelmed by Hagoromo Taro's attacks. If he weren't strong enough, he would have probably been defeated already. Senju style. Raging charge punch. With a bang, the giant shuriken attacking Hagoromo Taro was blasted away by Senju Kodo's punch. Immediately after, he jumped and swept backward, kicking away a kunai that attacked him from behind. Damn it, why is this mark so difficult to deal with? Senju Kodo cursed under his breath while flushing Hagoromo Taro's magnet release mark with chakra. This magnet release mark was like sticky candy, incredibly troublesome. Ever since he was marked, he had been continuously flushing it with chakra, but even now, only 2/3 of it had been eroded. As a result, being constantly pursued and attacked by Hagoromo Taro's weapons, Senju Kodo was now almost driven crazy. However, Hagoromo Taro didn't care what Senju Kodo was thinking at the moment. He focused some attention on the Yuhi clan leader and used magnet release to connect with a shuriken near the Yuhi clan leader, disintegrating and condensing it into a senbon. After more than 10 seconds, when Hagoromo Taro saw the Yuhi clan leader use genjutsu on his enemy, he knew his opportunity was about to come. After all, once a ninja caught in genjutsu breaks free, the caster will experience a momentary lapse in concentration, and this was the best time for him to act. Sure enough, in the next second, just as the Yuhi clan leader finished casting genjutsu and was about to sneak attack the Senju ninja suddenly broke free from the genjutsu, causing the Yuhi clan leader's concentration to waver. Now, Hagoromo Taro's pupils narrowed, and he instantly channeled chakra. The senbon, already under his control, flew towards the Yuhi clan leader with lightning speed. PFF'd. On the battlefield, no one noticed a black senbon suddenly piercing the Yuhi clan leader's lower back. The Yuhi clan leader was already distracted by the genjutsu being broken, and the pain in his lower back caused his impending attack to abruptly halt. The Senju ninja, having broken free from the genjutsu, was originally wary of the Yuhi clan leader's sneak attack. But he suddenly noticed that the Yuhi clan leader's body trembled, and sweat instantly broke out on his forehead. Although he didn't understand what was happening, he wouldn't let go of this golden opportunity. The Senju ninja instantly channeled chakra into his broadsword, earth release, heavy rock sword. Boom! The earthy yellow chakra, carrying a powerful momentum, directly pressed down on the Yuhi clan leader. Seeing this, the Yuhi clan leader quickly raised his katana to block. Clang! However, the pain in his lower back made him unable to exert force. After only a moment of resistance, the heavy rock sword pressed down on the Yuhi clan leader's katana and directly cut downwards. Crack! First, the back of the katana instantly shattered the Yuhi clan leader's ribs. Immediately after, the earthy yellow heavy rock sword, as if carrying the power of a rolling mountain, heavily struck the Yuhi clan leader's body. Boom! With one strike, the Yuhi clan leader's body was instantly sent flying, landing on the ground 5 meters away, kicking up a cloud of dust upon impact. At this moment, a 3-finger-wide wound appeared on the Yuhi clan leader's upper body, extending from his right clavicle to his left hip. In the upper part of the wound, broken ribs protruded outwards, and blood gushed. From the wound, the katana was deeply embedded in the Yuhi clan leader's spine. If it weren't for the Yuhi clan leader's body still being connected by his back muscles, he would have probably been cut in half by now. Ho! Ho! The Yuhi clan leader coughed up blood foam, then his head slumped, and he drew his last breath. Even in death, he couldn't understand what had just happened. Why did his kidney suddenly hurt so much? Clan leader. Seeing their clan leader suddenly struck down by the enemy, several Yuhi ninja instantly cried out in shock. Father! The shout attracted Yuhi Chiyu's attention. When she saw the tragic sight of her father's death, her eyes instantly widened. Miss, be careful. On the other side, Senju Kodo, who was blocking a giant shuriken, felt a surge of joy at this sight. Excellent. The opponent had suddenly lost a top elite Jonin. Well done. Hey, what are you smiling about? Hagoromo Taro looked at Senju Kodo with a playful expression, simultaneously stopping his attack with the giant shuriken. Chapter 100 Senju Hashirama's sudden arrival. Senju Hodo glanced at the deceased Yuhi clan head, then couldn't help but curve his lips into a smile, saying, "Your Yuhi clan head is gone, isn't that something to be happy about?" Seeing his expression, Ago Tello showed a sinister smile, and at the same time, raised 2 fingers, channeling chakra. Indeed, it's something to be happy about. Seeing this, Senju Hodo suddenly had an ominous premonition. However, just as the words left his mouth, Ago Tello instantly burst into a ferocious laugh. "You're finished. Die for me." Suddenly, Senju Hodo felt a sharp pain in his lungs, as if tens of thousands of needles had pierced them. The intense pain made him clutch his chest and drop to one knee. A trickle of blood escaped the corner of Senju Hodo's mouth. The pain in his lungs made breathing extremely difficult. Then, Senju Hodo looked at Ago Tello with an expression of disbelief. What did you do?" After speaking, Senju Hodo struggled to gasp for air, but the severe pain in his lungs forced him to breathe cautiously. This feeling was enough to drive a person mad with discomfort. Ago Tello, seeing that he had finally succeeded, let out a long breath, easing the pressure from the battle. The ninjutsu that Senju Hodo had fallen victim to was his ultimate secret technique. Normally, Ago Tello would use magnet release chakra to infuse a small iron plate, about the size of a fingernail. During battle, he could manipulate this iron plate with extremely subtle chakra, using it to attack the enemy's internal organs. Just now, during the battle, Ago Tello had broken down this iron plate into iron filings invisible to the naked eye. Then, while fighting, he manipulated these filings to enter Senju Hodo's body through his breathing. Furthermore, to avoid detection by Senju Hodo, Ago Tello spent over 10 minutes, expending a huge amount of energy to successfully deliver these iron filings into Senju Hodo's lungs. After completing all of this, Ago Tello then made his move against the Yuhi clan head, using a borrowed knife to kill him. Otherwise, if he had killed the Yuhi clan head without first finding a way to reduce the number of top-tier elite Jonin on the opposing side, the balance of power would have shifted dramatically. At that point, with an additional top-tier elite Jonin on the other side, their own side would have been completely doomed. In that scenario, the young clan head would have surely torn him apart. After adjusting for a few seconds, Ago Tello walked towards Senju Hodo, kunai in hand. "You don't need to know what I did, you just need to know that you're about to die." At the same time, Ago Chicken arrived beside Senju Tobarama, condensing a chakra sphere in his right hand. "Tobarama, go build a house in the underworld." As his words fell, the Rasengan in Ago Chicken's hand shot directly towards Senju Tobarama's head. Senju Tobarama's pupils constricted as he looked at the dangerous-looking chakra orb in front of him, wanting to use the body flicker jutsu to dodge. But the previous battle had already depleted his chakra, leaving him with no room to resist at this moment. "Goodbye, Ni-san." Scene after scene flashed through Senju Tobarama's mind. When they were children, their 4 brothers practiced taijutsu together. As they grew up, first Kawarama died on the battlefield against the Ago clan, followed by Itama, who died at the hands of the Uchiha clan. Now, was it finally his turn? The last image that remained in Senju Tobarama's mind was of him and his elder brother, Hashirama. Suddenly, wood release, wood vine entanglement. Buzz. The spinning Rasengan stopped less than a fist's distance from Senju Tobarama's face, unable to advance any further. This is. Ago Chicken's pupils constricted. He saw a wooden vine emerge from the ground, tightly coiling around his right hand, preventing him from pressing the Rasengan onto Senju Tobarama's face. No matter what he did, Ago Tello was in a similar situation. At this moment, Senju Hodo in front of him had already lost all will to resist. As long as Ago Tello pushed the kunai in his hand forward, he could immediately kill Senju Hodo. But suddenly appearing vines tightly bound his hands, preventing him from attacking Senju Hodo no matter what. Seeing this, Agotello gritted his teeth, channeled chakra, and directly used magnet release to communicate with the kunai beneath his feet. Whoosh! The kunai shot out. Wood release. Wood golem wall. Dozens of vines emerged from the ground, intertwining to form an arched wall, quickly protecting Senju Hodo. Thud! The kunai plunged into the wooden wall with a dull thud, but it only penetrated 3 or 4 centimeters before losing momentum. Seeing this, Agotello looked in the direction of the sound, only to see a young man dressed in red armor, who had already landed opposite the young clan head. Looking at the young man in front of him, whose hair was a bit longer and no longer a mushroom cut, Ago Chicken dispersed the Rasengan in his hand and smiled slightly. Long time no see, Hashirama. Indeed, the person who had arrived was the young man with whom he had a brief encounter, Senju Hashirama. However, unlike their last meeting, this time Senju Hashirama had awakened wood release. At the same time, the vast life force within his body also meant that Senju Hashirama's yang release, which represented ultimate vitality, had also awakened. Facing Ago Chicken, who was greeting him, Senju Hashirama hesitated for a moment, then looked at Ago Chicken with a solemn expression. Cage, you've gone too far. For a brother complex, hurting his brother was even more serious than hurting himself. Moreover, Cage had even intended to kill his brother. This was simply unforgivable. Hearing Senju Hashirama's address to him, Ago Chicken paused, then smiled helplessly. Cage, to be honest, even he himself felt a bit unfamiliar with this name, but he didn't expect that Senju Hashirama, with whom he had only met once, would remember it directly. This didn't quite match Hashirama's rare species-like appearance back then. Hashirama, I didn't expect you to still remember that name, Ago Chicken said with a laugh. Senju Hashirama, seeing that Ago Chicken had no intention of attacking, withdrew the wooden vines. Of course, you, I, and Madara, we're people with common ideals. I will not forget. Common ideals, huh? Ago Chicken looked up at the sky. He had never had common ideals with Hashirama. He had only agreed with Hashirama back then because he had accidentally let slip his intention to act against ordinary people, and ultimately, out of necessity, he had agreed to Hashirama's idea of establishing a village. But from beginning to end, his philosophy of peace had always been to unify this world by force. After a moment of reflection, Ago Chicken shifted his gaze from the sky to Senju Hashirama. So, Hashirama, what do you intend to do now? Senju Hodo glanced at the deceased Yuhi clan head, then couldn't help but curve his lips into a smile, saying, your Yuhi clan head is gone, isn't that something to be happy about? Seeing his expression, Agotello showed a sinister smile, and at the same time, raised 2 fingers, channeling chakra. Indeed, it's something to be happy about. Seeing this, Senju Hodo suddenly had an ominous premonition. However, just as the words left his mouth, Agotello instantly burst into a ferocious laugh. You're finished. Die for me. Suddenly, Senju Hodo felt a sharp pain in his lungs, as if tens of thousands of needles had pierced them. The intense pain made him clutch his chest and drop to one knee. A trickle of blood escaped the corner of Senju Hodo's mouth. The pain in his lungs made breathing extremely difficult. Then, Senju Hodo looked at Agotello with an expression of disbelief. What did you do? After speaking, Senju Hodo struggled to gasp for air, but the severe pain in his lungs forced him to breathe cautiously. This feeling was enough to drive a person mad with discomfort. Agotello, seeing that he had finally succeeded, let out a long breath, easing the pressure from the battle. The ninjutsu that Senju Hodo had fallen victim to was his ultimate secret technique. Normally, Agotello would use magnet release chakra to infuse a small iron plate, about the size of a fingernail. During battle, he could manipulate this iron plate with extremely subtle chakra, using it to attack the enemy's internal organs. Just now, during the battle, Agotello had broken down this iron plate into iron filings invisible to the naked eye. Then, while fighting, he manipulated these filings to enter Senju Hodo's body through his breathing. Furthermore, to avoid detection by Senju Hodo, Agotello spent over 10 minutes, expending a huge amount of energy, to successfully deliver these iron filings into Senju Hodo's lungs. After completing all of this, Agotello then made his move against the Yuhi clan head, using a borrowed knife to kill him. Otherwise, if he had killed the Yuhi clan head without first finding a way to reduce the number of top-tier elite Jonin on the opposing side, the balance of power would have shifted dramatically. At that point, with an additional top-tier elite Jonin on the other side, their own side would have been completely doomed. In that scenario, the young clan head would have surely torn him apart. After adjusting for a few seconds, Ago Tello walked towards Senju Hodo, kunai in hand. You don't need to know what I did, you just need to know that you're about to die. At the same time, Ago Chicken arrived beside Senju Tobarama, condensing a chakra sphere in his right hand. Tobarama, go build a house in the underworld. As his words fell, the Rasengan in Ago Chicken's hand shot directly towards Senju Tobarama's head. Senju Tobarama's pupils constricted as he looked at the dangerous-looking chakra orb in front of him, wanting to use the body flicker jutsu to dodge. But the previous battle had already depleted his chakra, leaving him with no room to resist at this moment. Goodbye, Ni-san. Scene after scene flashed through Senju Tobarama's mind. When they were children, their four brothers practiced taijutsu together. As they grew up, first Kawarama died on the battlefield against the Ago clan, followed by Itama, who died at the hands of the Uchiha clan. Now, was it finally his turn? The last image that remained in Senju Tobarama's mind was of him and his elder brother, Hashirama. Suddenly, wood release, wood vine entanglement. Buzz. The spinning Rasengan stopped less than a fist's distance from Senju Tobarama's face, unable to advance any further. This is. Ago Chicken's pupils constricted. He saw a wooden vine emerge from the ground, tightly coiling around his right hand, preventing him from pressing the Rasengan onto Senju Tobarama's face, no matter what he did. Ago Tello was in a similar situation. At this moment, Senju Hodo in front of him had already lost all will to resist. As long as Ago Tello pushed the kunai in his hand forward, he could immediately kill Senju Hodo. But suddenly appearing vines tightly bound his hands, preventing him from attacking Senju Hodo no matter what. Seeing this, Ago Tello gritted his teeth, channeled chakra, and directly used magnet release to communicate with the kunai beneath his feet. Whoosh! The kunai shot out. Wood release. Wood golem wall. Dozens of vines emerged from the ground, intertwining to form an arched wall, quickly protecting Senju Hodo. Thud. The kunai plunged into the wooden wall with a dull thud, but it only penetrated 3 or 4 centimeters before losing momentum. Seeing this, Ago Tello looked in the direction of the sound, only to see a young man dressed in red armor, who had already landed opposite the young clan head. Looking at the young man in front of him, whose hair was a bit longer and no longer a mushroom cut, Ago Chicken dispersed the Rasengan in his hand and smiled slightly. Long time no see, Hashirama. Indeed, the person who had arrived was the young man with whom he had a brief encounter, Senju Hashirama. However, unlike their last meeting, this time Senju Hashirama had awakened wood release. At the same time, the vast life force within his body also meant that Senju Hashirama's yang release, which represented ultimate vitality, had also awakened. Facing Ago Chicken, who was greeting him, Senju Hashirama hesitated for a moment, then looked at Ago Chicken with a solemn expression. Cage, you've gone too far. For a brother complex, hurting his brother was even more serious than hurting himself. Moreover, Cage had even intended to kill his brother. This was simply unforgivable. Hearing Senju Hashirama's address to him, Ago Chicken paused, then smiled helplessly. Cage, to be honest, even he himself felt a bit unfamiliar with this name, but he didn't expect that Senju Hashirama, with whom he had only met once, would remember it directly. This didn't quite match Hashirama's rare species-like appearance back then. Hashirama, I didn't expect you to still remember that name, Ago Chicken said with a laugh. Senju Hashirama, seeing that Ago Chicken had no intention of attacking, withdrew the wooden vines. Of course, you, I, and Madara, we're people with common ideals. I will not forget. Common ideals, huh? Ago Chicken looked up at the sky. He had never had common ideals with Hashirama. He had only agreed with Hashirama back then because he had accidentally let slip his intention to act against ordinary people, and ultimately, out of necessity, he had agreed to Hashirama's idea of establishing a village. But from beginning to end, his philosophy of peace had always been to unify this world by force. After a moment of reflection, Ago Chicken shifted his gaze from the sky to Senju Hashirama. So, Hashirama, what do you intend to do now? Chapter 101 The duel determines the victory. Facing Hagoromo Chihin's question, Senju Hashirama fell silent. Honestly, he didn't want to fight Lone Shadow, a friend who shared his ideals, but the current situation didn't allow him to remain indifferent. Anija. At this moment, Senju Tobarama, who was beside him, struggled to stand up. Senju Hashirama quickly asked, "Tobarama, are you all right?" Senju Tobarama shook his head, then looked at Hashirama and said, "Big brother, do you know Hagoromo Chihin?" Hagoromo Chihin? What's that? Senju Hashirama asked rather foolishly. Hagoromo Chihin's mouth twitched slightly, then he said with a serious expression, "Let's reintroduce ourselves. My name is Hagoromo Chihin, the young clan head of the Hagoromo clan." Upon hearing this name, Senju Hashirama lowered his head slightly and fell silent once more. Because Tobarama had told him that Hagoromo Chihin was the murderer of Kawarama. At this moment, Senju Hashirama truly didn't know what to do. On one hand, the hatred for Kawarama made him want to fight the other party. But on the other hand, Lone Shadow, no, Hagoromo Chihin, he was someone who shared his ideals, just like Madara. They were all people who yearned for peace. Should he, for the sake of hatred, fight Hagoromo Chihin, who also harbored dreams of peace? In the center of the battlefield, three youths stood facing each other, and in this battlefield filled with slaughter, a strange calm had appeared here. At this time, even Senju Tobarama didn't speak easily. Although Hagoromo Chihin was the murderer of Kawarama, he was also a ninja with a calm mind. On the current battlefield, their Senju clan and the Saruta clan were at a disadvantage. He absolutely could not let hatred cloud his judgment and rush in to fight Hagoromo Chihin recklessly. Finally, after a long silence, Senju Hashirama raised his head and looked at Hagoromo Chihin. "Stop." His voice wasn't loud, but it pierced through the entire battlefield, and that convincing aura made the ninja present want to stop fighting their enemies. Seeing Senju Hashirama's reaction, Hagoromo Chihin also raised his hand, and an unquestionable voice spread around, "Everyone, stop." Senju Hashirama's convincing voice, coupled with Hagoromo Chihin's unquestionable voice, strangely made the ninja fighting on the battlefield stop. Subsequently, the ninja of the four clans present all distanced themselves from their enemies, holding their weapons and cautiously watching each other. Scanning the ninja on the battlefield, Senju Hashirama took a deep breath and looked at Hagoromo Chihin. "Lone Shadow, since there is hatred between our two sides, let the battle between the two of us decide the outcome of this war." Although he already knew the other party's true name was Hagoromo Chihin, Senju Hashirama still preferred to call him Lone Shadow. Because Lone Shadow symbolized his, and Madara's, shared vision of peace. Since this war couldn't just end abruptly, and he couldn't easily let go of the hatred for Kawarama, then, let him and Lone Shadow, the representatives of their respective sides, draw a close to this war. Facing Senju Hashirama's proposal, Hagoromo Chihin pondered for a moment, then nodded in agreement. "All right." After all, it wasn't realistic for him to forcibly keep Senju Hashirama and the other Senju ninja. Not to mention the Six-Path Sage, who was Senju Hashirama's father in his previous life, and whether he would grant Hashirama an advantage from afar. Even Senju Hashirama's father in this life, Senju Butsuma, was not to be trifled with. One must know that Senju Butsuma now only had these two sons, Hashirama and Tobarama. If Hagoromo Chihin were to kill them both, then Senju Butsuma would have no heirs. At that time, Senju Butsuma, upon receiving this news, would surely go mad. And the consequence of going mad would very likely be to pull in the Uzumaki clan to jointly deal with the Uchiha, and then allocate a portion of their strength to eliminate the Hagoromo clan. More than a year ago, the Hagoromo clan suffered heavy losses after that war that nearly wiped them out. Even after more than a year, they hadn't recovered much of their strength. Therefore, the Hagoromo clan absolutely couldn't provoke the Senju clan too much now, otherwise, the trouble would be immense. Thoughts flashed through his mind, and Hagoromo Chihin immediately asked, "Since the outcome will be decided by our two individual battles, there should be a wager, right? What happens if you lose, and what happens if I lose?" At this moment, Senju Tobarama stepped forward. "If you lose, you will lead the Hagoromo clan back to the Hagoromo clan territory. If Big Brother loses, then we will retreat to the Saruta clan territory. How about that?" After all, Senju Hashirama was capable of giving away tailed beasts to the four great ninja villages for free. If he really let Hashirama negotiate, he might even kowtow to Hagoromo Chihin. Of course, the above was pure nonsense. The most important thing was that Senju Tobarama knew what kind of person his big brother was. His big brother was usually very unreliable in his actions, and he wouldn't trust him to handle negotiations with Hagoromo Chihin. Therefore, at this moment, he certainly had to step forward without hesitation. You're spouting nonsense. What kind of gibberish are you saying? You lose and retreat to Tsuruta clan territory. You must have drunk too much fake alcohol. Hagoromo Chihin hadn't even spoken yet when Hagoromo Taro, who had walked over, couldn't help but burst out. And the ninja of both sides, who had already separated, now stood behind Hagoromo Chihin and Senju Hashirama respectively. In comparison, the number of ninja on Hagoromo Chihin's side was clearly greater. Evidently, the previous battle had caused severe losses to the genin and jonin of the Tsuruta clan. Facing Senju Tobarama's shameless remarks, Hagoromo Ishihara, who was nearby, also chimed in. Taro is right, that prematurely aged brat, what kind of daydream are you having in broad daylight? Exactly, already senile at such a young age. Is there no one left in your Senju clan that you send out a senile brat to negotiate? Hagoromo Tai's mouth was also quite venomous, directly following Hagoromo Ishihara's words and spewing insults. The Senju clan on the opposite side, of course, was not to be outdone. One of the top elite jonin cursed at Hagoromo Taro, "Did you eat feces for lunch?" spewing filth all over the place. Exactly, the one who's cursing the most. If you've got guts, come over here and see if I don't beat the feces you ate for lunch out of you. I ate you for lunch. You bastard, come here and see if I can beat you to death. Come over here, I'll show you what a fist as big as a clay pot looks like. Hee hee, what are a bunch of gutless fellows shouting about? It's simply eunuchs roaring, a cock and bull story. And so, the Hagoromo clan and the Senju clan directly engaged in a war of words from a distance, but both sides were relatively restrained, and no one made the first move. Chapter 102 The fight begins. Alright, everyone, stop arguing. Senju Hashirama, unable to listen any longer, shouted loudly. This sound made the Senju clan members behind him stop their indignant protests, and Hagoromo Chicken also simultaneously stopped his clansmen's verbal attacks. After everyone quieted down, Senju Hashirama looked at Hagoromo Chicken and said, "Kage, what do you suggest we do?" Hagoromo Chicken pondered for a moment. "How about this? If you win, you can take the Tsuruta clan with you. If you lose, then the Tsuruta clan stays here." The Senju clan was not to be provoked now, it could only be dealt with later. But this Tsuruta clan actually dared to meddle in the conflict between two major clans. If you don't die, who will? Small clans should know their place. The conflict between major clans like Hagoromo and Senju was not something a small Tsuruta could interfere with. No, Senju Hashirama immediately rejected the idea. "I will never abandon my allies." The Tsuruta clan, which had been feeling uneasy, instantly felt a surge of goodwill towards Senju Hashirama upon hearing this. As expected of the young clan head of the loving Senju clan, he was indeed trustworthy. Hagoromo Chicken smiled. "If you win, won't you be able to take them with you?" "That doesn't count as abandoning them." Senju Hashirama paused, as if that made sense, but why did he still feel like something was off? "Big brother." Senju Tobarama nodded from the side, indicating his agreement. Before Hagoromo came to attack, he had planned to bring the Tsuruta clan back to the Senju side, making them an affiliated ninja clan of the Senju. This way, more than a year of planning wouldn't be for naught. But now, the Hagoromo clan's sudden attack directly disrupted his plans. At this point, it was already quite good if their Senju clan could retreat safely. Moreover, if Big Brother won, he could even take the Tsuruta family with him. There was no reason not to agree to such terms. After all, with Big Brother's strength, defeating Hagoromo Chicken shouldn't be a problem. Seeing this, Senju Hashirama nodded. Alright. Tobarama's mind was always sharp, so since Tobarama said it was fine, it was probably truly fine. At this moment, the Tsuruta ninja, who had initially held a good impression of Senju Hashirama, were suddenly filled with grievances after hearing the three-person negotiation. After all, their fate was so simply decided by those two youths in the middle of the battlefield. Anyone would feel terrible about that. But no matter how terrible they felt, they could only endure it. In the Sengoku period, weakness was the original sin. If they, a third-rate minor clan with heavy losses, were to make a fuss now and displease the Senju young clan head, causing him to intentionally lose the match, they would suffer even more. Seeing Senju Hashirama agree, Hagoromo Chicken said, "Shall we start now?" Senju Hashirama nodded, and immediately, the ninja on both sides began to retreat, clearing space for the two to fight. Hagoromo Chicken casually picked up a stone from the ground. When the stone lands, the match begins. No problem. Senju Hashirama naturally had no objections. As the stone was tossed into the air, all the ninja on the battlefield stared intently at the stone in midair. Thud. The stone landed. Ice release. Fierce tiger assault. Hagoromo Chicken quickly formed hand signs, and an ice tiger instantly roared, pouncing towards Senju Hashirama. Senju Hashirama's expression was serious. As he formed hand signs, he extended his right hand, wood release, cutting sprig. In an instant, a brown wooden spike rapidly grew from Senju Hashirama's right palm and extended towards the ice tiger. Clang! The wooden spike collided with the ice tiger. After a mere second of stalemate, the wooden spike pierced into the ice tiger's head. Crack! The wooden spike, having entered the ice tiger's head, rapidly grew and spread, forcibly puncturing and tearing apart the ice tiger. Hagoromo Chicken frowned slightly. He realized that the ice tiger's destruction was not due to insufficient hardness. The moment the wooden spike and the ice tiger made contact, the chakra within the ice tiger was absorbed by the wooden spike. It was precisely because the chakra disappeared that the ice tiger was so easily destroyed by the wooden spike. If that's the case, Hagoromo Chicken narrowed his eyes, while frost spread from beneath his feet. The next second, a flash of frost. Swish! Hagoromo Chicken appeared directly behind Senju Hashirama, Rasengan. Senju Hashirama seemed not to have expected Hagoromo Chicken to suddenly appear behind him. Caught off guard, he didn't have time to use complex ninjutsu for defense, so he could only channel chakra to form a simple wooden shield behind him. Bang! The Rasengan impacted the wooden shield, and the immense force caused the shield to bend. Immediately after, the chaotic chakra flow of the Rasengan and the wood release generated intense friction. In an instant, wood splinters flew, and the Rasengan directly pierced through the wooden shield and pressed against Senju Hashirama's body. Crack! With a crisp sound, Senju Hashirama's armor instantly cracked, and then his body was sent flying backward. A ninja, young clan head. Seeing their young clan head sent flying, the Senju clan ninja instantly shouted in concern. In contrast, upon seeing Hagoromo Chicken defeat Senju Hashirama with a single move, Hagoromo Taro immediately led the cheers. Young clan head is mighty. Cough, cough. After rolling 2 times on the ground, Senju Hashirama stood up, the pain in his back making his breathing somewhat ragged. After wiping away the blood from the corner of his mouth, he couldn't help but wonder, what just happened? Cage had instantly appeared behind him, and there wasn't even a trace of movement from a body flicker technique. Was that really a body flicker technique? How could it be so fast? A ninja, watch out for the frost on the ground. Hagoromo Chicken can use the frost to appear anywhere, with a 1-second interval. Realizing that Big Brother apparently didn't know about Hagoromo Chicken's spatial ninjutsu, Senju Tobarama quickly shouted a reminder from afar. So that's how it is. Senju Hashirama nodded. As expected of Cage, this ninjutsu was indeed powerful. Damn it, that cursed Tobarama kid, why are you everywhere? Hagoromo Chicken couldn't help but curse under his breath. On the other side, Senju Hashirama shed his cracked armor and channeled chakra to heal the injuries on his back. Let's continue, Cage. Saying that, Senju Hashirama immediately formed hand signs, wood release, adamantine wood. Rumble. Suddenly, several hard trees erupted from underground, attacking Hagoromo Chicken directly. However, this powerful technique completely missed its target. With a flash of frost, Hagoromo Chicken reappeared behind Senju Hashirama, Rasengan. Swish, 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 swish. Suddenly, countless wooden vines rose from beneath Senju Hashirama's feet, completely surrounding him without any blind spots. The Rasengan pressed against the wooden vines, continuously destroying them. However, the wooden vines regenerated too quickly. As soon as the Rasengan destroyed a bit, they would grow back. Senju Hashirama, hidden within the wooden vines, laughed loudly, ha 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 ha. Cage, although I don't know which direction you'll attack from, as long as I protect myself from every direction, it'll be fine. Chapter 103 Udama Rasengan. Clang. The Rasengan spun rapidly, wooden vines grew incessantly, and wood chips flew out. After a stalemate for a moment, Yuhanyi couldn't help but curse under his breath, damn it. You're wrapped up like a zongzi all around. Do you want me to praise you, you clever little guy? As his voice fell, Yuhanyi flashed and appeared not far from Senju Hashirama. The wooden vines retracted into the ground, revealing a triumphant Senju Hashirama, ah ha 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 ha. Ice release. Pack hunt. Howl. In an instant, 5 ice wolves lunged at Senju Hashirama from all directions. Facing the pack of ice wolves surrounding him, Senju Hashirama formed hand seals again, wood release, great forest technique. As soon as the hand seals were completed, thick vine branches grew wildly from all directions at Senju Hashirama's feet. In just a blink of an eye, the 5 ice wolves were already bound by the branches, struggling on the ground. As the vines tightened their grip, the ice wolves' chakra began to be continuously absorbed by the vines. Within a few seconds, the ice wolves lost the support of their chakra and were crushed into shattered ice by the vines. Of course, just as Senju Hashirama was forming hand seals to use the Great Forest technique, Yuhanyi also seized the opportunity. He performed an ice jump, appearing beside Senju Hashirama, and at the same time, pressed a Rasengan towards him. Boom! The chakra orb collided with the vine branches, producing a dull thud, and wood chips continuously splattered outwards. Senju Hashirama seemed a bit slow to react, but the moment Yuhanyi appeared, the wooden vines that grew from his feet immediately surrounded and protected Senju Hashirama from all directions. This made it impossible for Yuhanyi to find an opening to attack from a different direction. Cage, you don't need to bother. I won't let you attack me again, ha 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 ha. Senju Hashirama's laughter came from within the wooden vines. He no longer dared to underestimate that seemingly insignificant chakra orb, Cage. If he hadn't used his wood release to block that Rasengan just now, and then used his armor to mitigate the impact, he would have been severely injured long ago. However, even with the dual protection of wood release and armor, that blow still hurt him terribly, and he only just recovered. Therefore, he absolutely could not allow Cage's Rasengan to hit him again. TCH. Yuhanyi spat under his breath. As soon as the cooldown was over, a flash of icy frost appeared, and he instantly reappeared in another direction, Rasengan. Boom! The chakra orb once again struck the continuously growing wooden vines. In this way, Yuhanyi flashed once every second, using the Rasengan to bombard the wooden vines protecting Senju Hashirama. This seemed like a futile effort, but it was preparing for the next strike. After flashing 4 or 5 times, that's enough, Yuhanyi thought to himself. The next second, Yuhanyi reappeared in another direction. He narrowed his pupils, and a large amount of chakra condensed in his palm, Great Ball Rasengan. Instantly, a Rasengan several times larger than before directly slammed into the vines. Senju Hashirama, accustomed to the attack power of the previous Rasengan, clearly had little defense against this strike. Under the impact and friction of the Great Ball Rasengan, the vines were directly blasted with a large hole, revealing Senju Hashirama's figure inside. Senju Hashirama turned his head, looking slightly dazed, while Yuhanyi, with a triumphant expression, pushed his palm forward, and the basketball-sized Rasengan instantly slammed into Senju Hashirama's body. The Great Ball Rasengan easily pierced through Senju Hashirama's body. However, immediately after, Senju Hashirama suddenly turned into a pile of dirt, collapsing on the ground. Not good. Yuhanyi's pupils instantly constricted. Wood release. Flying wooden stakes. A huge whistling sound directly came from behind Yuhanyi. This was a wooden stake with a diameter of half a meter. It flew faster than ordinary ninjutsu, directly rushing towards Yuhanyi's back. The whistling sound from behind left Yuhanyi no time to think. He instinctively flashed with icy frost and then disappeared from his original spot. Boom! The flying wooden stake collided with the wooden vines growing on the spot, and a dull sound instantly spread all around. Yuhanyi reappeared, already opposite Senju Hashirama. I was careless. I didn't realize it was an earth clone. Yuhanyi couldn't help but murmur. But thinking about it, it made sense. How could Senju Hashirama be defeated so easily? He used the earth clone to deceive Yuhanyi while the wooden vines obstructed his vision. It was probably both unexpected and reasonable. After all, Senju Hashirama's wood clone was created by referencing Senju Tobarama's shadow clone jutsu. Since Senju Tobarama hadn't created the shadow clone jutsu yet, Senju Hashirama naturally had no wood clone to use, so he could only use earth clones and water clones. It was just a pity that Yuhanyi's Great Ball Rasengan was now exposed, and Senju Hashirama was already prepared for this technique. Therefore, if he wanted to defeat Senju Hashirama with this move, it would probably be even more difficult. Kage, if you don't have more powerful ninjutsu, you won't be able to defeat me. Why don't we just leave? Senju Hashirama, standing in the distance, suggested loudly. In this situation, if Kage didn't have a stronger technique, he simply couldn't defeat him, and he couldn't defeat Kage, who had ice jump. Therefore, neither of them could do anything to the other, so it was better to end the match now. Hearing this, Yuhanyi chuckled and drew the short sword from his waist. Hashirama, it's too early to say that. Let's continue. As his voice fell, Yuhanyi wiped 2 fingers of his left hand across the blade, and sharp wind-style chakra immediately enveloped the short sword, forming the Sword of Wind God. Since his strongest single-target attack ninjutsu, the Great Ball Rasengan, had already made Senju Hashirama wary, there was no need to waste his chakra on the Rasengan. It was more suitable to use a ninjutsu with less consumption, like the Sword of Wind God, to deal with the enemy. Seeing that Kage had no intention of ending the match, Senju Hashirama's expression became serious again, preparing to respond to Kage, who could appear anywhere at any moment. The next second, a flash of icy frost appeared, and Yuhanyi directly appeared behind Senju Hashirama. The Sword of Wind God in his hand instantly slashed towards him. And Senju Hashirama, at the moment Yuhanyi disappeared, also immediately formed hand seals, and a large amount of wooden vines instantly surged from the ground, protecting him. Clang! The wind blade cut into the wooden vines 3 or 4 centimeters but could go no further. On the contrary, the continuously growing wooden vines intended to trap the short sword. Seeing this, Yuhanyi quickly pulled the short sword out of the wooden vines. Chapter 104 Exhausted. Feeling that Hagoromo Chihin no longer used ice jump, Senju Hashirama withdrew the wood release protecting him and immediately counterattacked Hagoromo Chihin with a wood release, cutting Sprig's jutsu. Whoosh! But who would have thought that Hagoromo Chihin, who hadn't used ice jump for nearly a minute, would instantly use ice jump to dodge the cutting Sprig's jutsu the moment Senju Hashirama appeared, arriving behind Senju Hashirama. Great Ball Rasengan. Hagoromo Chihin seized the opportunity and directly used his strongest single-target ninjutsu at the moment. Nani! Senju Hashirama exclaimed in surprise, quickly stopped casting the cutting Sprig's jutsu, and wood release once again surged from the ground to protect him. I really can't be careless at all. Senju Hashirama sighed from within the wood release. Then, his expression turned serious. Since that's the case, wood release, super, tree bind, thorns, branch pierce. Never mind, this will do. Under Senju Hashirama's serious antics, a large number of thorny vines suddenly shot out from outside, continuously coiling and attacking Hagoromo Chihin. Seeing this, Hagoromo Chihin wielded the Sword of the Wind God, slashing at these vines and thorns, while looking for weak points in the vines to dodge. Damn it, having a lot of chakra really lets you do whatever you want. Hagoromo Chihin couldn't help but complain after dodging a vine whip. This Senju Hashirama, relying on his abundant chakra, simply hid within the protection of the wood release and started a barrage. Although the attack range of most wood release was only about 10 meters, far from the exaggerated range of the later deep forest emergence, these continuously attacking wood release still gave Hagoromo Chihin a huge headache. However, Hagoromo Chihin was not without a countermeasure against Senju Hashirama's attack. His body suddenly flashed with an icy glow, and he then appeared next to the wood release protecting Senju Hashirama. Ice release, frost assault. In an instant, white cold air directly flowed through the gaps in the wood release. Caught off guard, Senju Hashirama's body was instantly covered with a layer of frost. Hiss! Senju Hashirama couldn't help but gasp, shivering. After reacting, he quickly urged the outer wood release to attack Hagoromo Chihin, while simultaneously circulating his chakra to expel the cold from his body. Outside, Hagoromo Chihin, who was using frost assault, was suddenly attacked by the wood release, so he was forced to use ice jump and leave his original position. Damn it! Why is this Senju Hashirama like a turtle, hiding inside the wood release? This makes it impossible for me to attack. After leaving the range of the wood release, 2 more wood release pursued Hagoromo Chihin, so he could only dodge while secretly cursing Senju Hashirama for being unscrupulous, using such a rogue method to deal with him. It seems that after this battle, he must develop some killing moves, otherwise, encountering someone like Senju Hashirama would be too passive. Hagoromo Chihin pondered in his heart while dodging. Then, Hagoromo Chihin seized the opportunity, once again used Ice Jump to approach Senju Hashirama, and attacked with Frost Assault. After all, other attack methods couldn't reach Senju Hashirama, who was hiding inside the wood release, so he could only use this move to deal with Hashirama. Under the watchful eyes of the various ninja from both sides, the wood release churned in the center of the battlefield, attacking Hagoromo Chihin without a moment's pause. Hagoromo Chihin, on the other hand, continuously flickered, occasionally approaching Senju Hashirama to attack with Ice Release, and the battle between the two unexpectedly fell into a stalemate for a time. It's hard to imagine that they are just 2 youths. Hagoromo Tai looked at the center of the battlefield and couldn't help but exclaim. What ninjutsu is that young patriarch of the Senju clan using? Is it wood release? Why have I never heard of such a release before? Hagoromo Ishihara frowned, somewhat worried. It looks like it's quite troublesome. Hagoromo Tai nodded. Hagoromo Taro, next to them, rolled his eyes at the two. What are you two afraid of? Didn't you see that the young patriarch is suppressing that Senju young patriarch? Quote. The two were instantly speechless. I say, big brother, although the young patriarch is indeed extraordinarily talented, you don't have to grovel to him so early. The group of Yuhi ninja behind them also watched the center of the battlefield with tense expressions. Miss, what happened to your injury? A Yuhi ninja asked, looking at Yuhi Chiyu. A wound had appeared on Yuhi Chiyu's shoulder for some reason, although it had been simply bandaged with a cloth strip, blood was still seeping out, staining the bandage red. It's nothing. Yuhi Chiyu shook her head, her expression full of worry as she looked at Hagoromo Chihin's figure in the center of the battlefield. On the other side, a ninja, Senju Tobarama looked ahead, frowning slightly. He had originally thought that with his elder brother's intervention, relying on the power of wood release, he would surely defeat Hagoromo Chihin, but he hadn't expected Hagoromo Chihin to be so difficult to deal with. Now it seemed, the outcome between the two was hard to predict. Time slowly passed, and after an unknown number of hours, the sun had set, and the moon slowly rose. Hagoromo Chihin stood in the distance, his right hand gripping his sword already trembling slightly. Several hours of fighting and slashing made him feel as if his arm was somewhat out of control, and the fine sweat flowing down his cheeks further showed his fatigue. On the other side, Senju Hashirama was not much better off. Most of the time, Hagoromo Chihin only used ninjutsu that consumed very little chakra, such as Ice Jump and the Sword of the Wind God. But Senju Hashirama's chakra was like it was free, hiding inside the wood release and manipulating wood release to furiously attack Hagoromo Chihin. After several hours, the chakra consumed by Senju Hashirama was extraordinarily large. At this time, Senju Hashirama's sage body had not yet fully awakened, and his chakra reserves had not reached the exaggerated level of being even greater than a tailed beast. Therefore, after such a long battle, even Senju Hashirama was somewhat overwhelmed. Feeling that Hagoromo Chihin was no longer attacking, Senju Hashirama waited for a while, then withdrew the wood release defense. Who? Senju Hashirama panted, looking at Hagoromo Chihin. Cage, there's no need to continue, is there? How about we call this match a draw? Hagoromo Chihin took a deep breath and resheathed his short sword. All right. In the current situation, even if he disagreed, there was nothing he could do. After such a long period of exhaustion, one could tell from Hagoromo Chihin's slightly trembling right hand that he was no better off than Senju Hashirama now. If the battle continued, it would be meaningless. Seeing Hagoromo Chihin agree, Senju Hashirama showed a relaxed smile. Then he dispelled his ninjutsu and walked towards Hagoromo Chihin. The ninja from both sides, seeing that the battle between the two had ended, also regathered behind them. Chapter 105 Wind Crane Wings. Hashirama, the match was a draw, so how should we handle the current situation now? Hagoromo Chihin threw the question to Senju Hashirama. Senju Hashirama hesitated for a moment, then turned to look at Senju Tobarama. He wasn't really good at this kind of thing, so he might as well listen to Tobarama's opinion. Looking at his elder brother's gaze, Senju Toburama pondered for a moment, then said, "Since it's a draw, how about we each retreat?" Hagoromo Chihin glanced at him. "Toburama, it's clear who has the upper hand in this war. Don't harbor such unrealistic ideas anymore. Then, Lone Shadow, what do you think should be done?" Senju Hashirama asked from the side. Hagoromo Chihin swept his gaze over the Tsuruta ninja behind Senju Hashirama. "Leave them behind." Senju Hashirama refused without thinking. "No." Senju Toburama also echoed from the side. "That's right, don't forget, Hagoromo Chihin, you haven't defeated my elder brother." When the Tsuruta ninja behind them saw Hagoromo Chihin's gaze sweep over, their hearts instantly tightened, but Senju Hashirama and Senju Toburama's words slightly eased their worries. However, they couldn't completely relax. After all, the hearts of the great Sengoku clans were all black. Who knew what kind of ending they would meet? Hagoromo Chihin chuckled and made a concession. "You can also take the Tsuruta clan and leave, but the things in their clan territory must be left behind." This was Hagoromo Chihin's ultimate goal. After a war, how could just gaining one Yuhi clan be enough? Hagoromo was currently in need of money and supplies, so he naturally wanted to take the Tsuruta clan's wealth for himself. Senju Hashirama hesitated. He was very happy that Lone Shadow could make a concession, but Lone Shadow's demand for the Tsuruta clan to leave their clan territory's belongings made things difficult for him. "Toburama, what do you think?" After thinking for a bit, Senju Hashirama still decided to listen to Toburama's opinion. However, Senju Toburama, upon hearing his elder brother's question, instantly had a dark look on his face. "Elder brother, can't you use your brain? Can we really be the ones to decide this? If we agree, then even though the Tsuruta clan won't resent the Senju clan, they will still feel discontent. But if we don't agree, then there's no other choice. This matter ultimately has to be decided by the Tsuruta clan themselves." Of course, the Tsuruta clan would definitely choose to abandon their clan territory and settle near the Senju clan, because they would only stay to die if they had a hole in their head. Toburama, seeing that his younger brother wasn't speaking, Senju Hashirama blankly poked Toburama's arm. Senju Toburama, seeing Toburama looking at him with a resentful expression, Senju Hashirama scratched his head in confusion. Why wasn't Toburama responding to him? Unable to figure it out, Senju Hashirama could only turn his head to ask the Tsuruta clan for their opinion. "Then, what are your clan's thoughts?" After Senju Hashirama's words were spoken, Senju Toburama silently sighed in his heart. Actually, if the Hagoromo clan had done this, it would have been better, but Hagoromo Chihin clearly wouldn't do anything that benefited the Senju clan, so they could only speak up. Facing Senju Hashirama's gaze, the new Tsuruta clan head's face was filled with struggle. After about 2 or 3 seconds, he gritted his teeth and said, "I agree. However, our clansmen in the clan territory must not be harmed." Senju Hashirama nodded, then looked at Hagoromo Chihin. "Lone Shadow, you won't refuse the Tsuruta clan head's request, will you?" Hagoromo Chihin smiled. "Hand over all of the Tsuruta clan's ninjutsu, and I'll let them go. Although a small clan like Tsuruta might not have any powerful ninjutsu, there's always a possibility. What if there was some gain?" The Tsuruta clan head opposite him looked pained upon hearing this demand. But as the saying goes, once there's a first compromise, there will be countless more. Now that the Tsuruta clan had given up their clan territory and all their assets, their family ninjutsu naturally had to be compromised as well. After all, if they didn't compromise, wouldn't the previous compromises have been in vain? And so, the two sides reached an agreement. The rest of the matter was simple. Under the guidance of the Tsuruta clan head, the group arrived at the Tsuruta clan territory. The Tsuruta clan's ninjutsu were stored in the Tsuruta shrine. After activating the mechanisms and sealing jutsu, the ninjutsu scrolls stored inside were taken out. Hagoromo Chihin glanced at the storage room. He had to admit, the Tsuruta family's protective instincts were quite strong. The mechanisms were connected to explosive tags. If the activation method was wrong, the storage room might have directly exploded. Taking the scrolls handed over by the Tsuruta clan head, Hagoromo Chihin flipped through them while passing them to Hagoromo Tro behind him, telling him to put away these ninjutsu scrolls. The ninjutsu at the front were all commonplace, some ordinary stuff, but when he got to the last ninjutsu scroll, Hagoromo Chihin's eyes instantly lit up. Oh, S-rank ninjutsu, wind release, wind crane wings. Seeing this, Hagoromo Chihin quickly began to study it. This was a rare flying ninjutsu that allowed one to condense a pair of crane wings using wind-release chakra, thereby granting the ability to fly. It's important to know that flying ninjutsu were scarce in the ninja world. The ones Hagoromo Chihin remembered were Onoki's particle style, weight-lightening rock jutsu, the third Cage's iron sand wings, Konan's paper ninjutsu wings, and Pain's use of the Rinnegan's gravity for flight. Other than that, there was basically nothing else. But this Tsuruta clan actually had flying ninjutsu, which was quite unexpected for Hagoromo Chihin. Where did you get this ninjutsu? Hagoromo Chihin asked the Tsuruta clan head. The Tsuruta clan head lowered his head. The Tsuruta family used to be a second-rate ninja clan, but later declined for unknown reasons. This ninjutsu has been passed down from our ancestors. I see. Hagoromo Chihin nodded. Senju Tobarama, standing behind, looked at the ninjutsu scrolls with some anticipation, but unfortunately, he could only look now. Alright, you can leave. Remember not to take anything randomly. This place now belongs to our Hagoromo clan. Hagoromo Chihin weighed the S-rank ninjutsu scroll in his hand, then walked out of the shrine. Next, under the supervision of the Hagoromo clan, the Tsuruta clan gradually withdrew from the Tsuruta clan territory. For these Hagoromo clansmen who were tight on funds, supervising the Tsuruta ninjas' withdrawal was a good job. Under their strict supervision, all the shuriken, kunai, and other items on the Tsuruta ninja were confiscated. The Tsuruta ninja were both angry and helpless about the Hagoromo clansmen's actions. But there was nothing they could do, they were the weak ones. So, they could only endure the Hagoromo ninjas' bullying actions with suppressed anger. Standing at the entrance of the clan territory, Senju Hashirama looked at Hagoromo Chihin, and behind him were the ninja of the Tsuruta clan and the Senju clan. Chapter 106, The War That Injured the Small Tribe. Ji Yu Ying, our dream, are you still pursuing it? Senju Hashirama hesitated for a moment before asking about his expectations. Hagoromo Chihana nodded without hesitation. Of course, I have always yearned for peace. It's just that my way of achieving peace is different from yours, Hagoromo Chihana silently added in his heart. Senju Hashirama had no idea what Hagoromo was thinking. When he heard that Hagoromo Chihana still yearned for peace, he immediately laughed like a child. That's great. I feel the same way. I believe that as long as we persevere, peace will surely be realized. At that time, we will build a village where all clans can live together, free from hatred, and people can understand each other. Alright, Hashirama, peace must be fought for with strength, not achieved through empty words. Hagoromo Chihana interrupted Senju Hashirama's eloquent speech. Okay. Interrupted by Hagoromo Chihana, Senju Hashirama immediately reverted to his old habit, hanging his head in dejection. Big brother. Feeling that this was truly embarrassing, Senju Tobarama couldn't help but scold him from the side. Senju Hashirama's mouth twitched twice. As a big brother, he really lacked authority. Alright, since the Tsuruta clan has all retreated, you two should leave quickly. No longer paying attention to Senju Hashirama's antics, Hagoromo Chihana directly issued an order to leave. Upon hearing this, Senju Hashirama's expression instantly became serious. Understood, Ji Yu Ying, I will work hard to become stronger for our dream. Senju Hashirama's gaze was sincere and firm. He then turned and led Senju Tobarama towards the Senju clan territory. Big brother, why did you suddenly come to this battlefield? Tobarama, following behind Senju Hashirama, asked curiously. Senju Hashirama shook his head. I don't know, I had a sudden whim to come and see you, so I came. Watching Senju Hashirama's departing back, Hagoromo Chihana shook his head and turned to walk back. Young clan head, did you know that Senju Hashirama before? Hagoromo Taro asked from the side. Hagoromo Chihana nodded. We met once. Then, what's this dream you two were talking about? Hagoromo Chihana smiled. It's a dream that seems similar but is actually different. It's too early to talk about it now. He said it was similar because their ultimate goal was peace. He said it was different because their methods of achieving peace were not the same. His way of achieving peace was through unification, while Senju Hashirama wanted to build a village where all clans lived in harmony. The two of them were, after all, not on the same path. Dream. Hagoromo Taro scratched his head in confusion. Alright, You are responsible for counting and organizing the supplies left behind by the Saruta clan. Don't miss a single thread or needle. After organizing them, transport them back to the Yuhi clan territory. After speaking, Hagoromo Chihana left and walked towards the Yuhi clan territory. Hagoromo Taro, left in place, shook his head and then began to direct his clansmen to search the Saruta clan territory. A war between small clans thus ended. With the intervention of two large clans, both small clans could be said to have suffered greatly. The Yuhi clan lost its clan head, and the entire clan became an affiliated ninja clan of the Hagoromo clan. The Saruta clan was even more miserable than the Yuhi clan, not only losing its clan head but also suffering severe losses in its low-level combat strength. It can be said that this war was a war in which only the small clans were hurt. As for the two large clans that intervened, neither suffered any losses. The Hagoromo clan not only gained the Yuhi clan but also obtained all the wealth of the Saruta clan. Although the Senju clan didn't profit as much, it also gained the remaining members of the Saruta clan. They were currently in a major war with the Uchiha clan, and these Saruta ninjas could be partially deployed to support the battlefield. After breakfast, Hagoromo Chihana held a meeting in the Yuhi clan territory's council hall. Seated on his left were Hagoromo Ishihara and Hagoromo Titanium. As for Hagoromo Taro, it was said that he had been raiding homes until 4 or 5 in the morning, and had just transported back the Saruta clan's money and supplies, so he didn't disturb Hagoromo Taro further. Seated on his right were the 4 elite Jonin of the Yuhi family, as well as the Yuhi Chiyu siblings. At this time, both siblings had bandages on their arms or shoulders, and coupled with the loss of their father, their expressions were particularly low. Glancing at everyone, Hagoromo Chihana spoke unhurriedly. The war has ended, but unfortunately, the Yuhi clan had sacrificed himself. I deeply regret this. The 4 elite Jonin looked at each other, and just as one representative was about to speak, Hagoromo Chihana unexpectedly didn't give them a chance to speak. A second or two after his words fell, Hagoromo Chihana continued. The Yuhi clan had once said that as long as we helped the Yuhi clan overcome its crisis, the Yuhi clan would voluntarily become an affiliated ninja clan of my Hagoromo clan. Now that the Yuhi clan head has sacrificed himself, I wonder if this promise still counts. After speaking, Hagoromo Chihana picked up the water cup on the table and leisurely began to drink. In fact, he no longer cared whether the Yuhi clan kept its promise. If they did, then naturally everyone would be happy. If they didn't keep it, then he, along with Hagoromo Ishihara and Hagoromo Titanium, the 3 of them, could naturally instantly kill the 4 elite Jonin present. Once the elite Jonin were dead, the remaining ninjas would be of no concern. Their Hagoromo clan, currently in the Yuhi clan territory, could naturally eliminate them with the fewest casualties. After the Yuhi clan was eliminated, the money and supplies of the Yuhi clan would naturally fall into their hands. The 4 elite Jonin of the Yuhi family exchanged glances, then very wisely made their choice. We are willing to become an affiliated ninja clan of the Hagoromo clan and obey the young clan head from now on. They weren't fools. If they went back on their word now, wouldn't that be seeking death? Seeing the other party being so sensible, Hagoromo Ishihara and Hagoromo Titanium nodded in satisfaction. Hagoromo Chihana smiled. Since you agree to become an affiliated ninja clan of my Hagoromo clan, then from now on, you will relocate and settle near the Hagoromo clan territory. Since they had become an affiliated ninja clan, he would certainly not let the Yuhi clan remain here. Only by keeping them under his watchful eye could he truly control the Yuhi clan. The Yuhi ninjas naturally had no objections to Hagoromo Chihana's proposal, as this was what an affiliated ninja clan should do. One last thing, from now on, Yuhi Akiharu will be the clan head of the Yuhi clan. Does anyone have any objections? Upon hearing this, the Yuhi siblings instantly looked at Hagoromo Chihana with surprise, and the 4 elite Jonin were also full of shock. After they reacted, they wanted to say that Yuhi Akiharu was too young and too weak to serve as the clan head of the Yuhi clan. But in the end, they didn't speak out. After all, the Yuhi clan had already become an affiliated ninja clan, so the position of clan head was naturally up to the Hagoromo clan to decide. Chapter 107 Kanai. We will follow the young clan head's orders. The 4 elite Jonin bowed to Hagoromo Chihana, showing their agreement. Young clan head Hagoromo, I Hearing Hagoromo Chihana appoint him as the clan head of the Yuhi clan, Uchiha couldn't help but stand up. He was currently only at the special Jonin level. Taking on the role of clan head for the Yuhi clan felt like a stretch with his current strength. Do you have an objection? Before Uchiha could finish his sentence, Hagoromo Chihana narrowed his eyes and looked over. No. Uchiha was immediately intimidated by Hagoromo Chihana's gaze and could only swallow the words he was about to say, then shrank his head and obediently sat down. He turned to look at his elder sister, only to find her shaking her head at him, then lowering her head without any further reaction. Seeing this, Uchiha could only choose to stare at the table, quietly acting as a placeholder. Most of the arrangements are settled. The four of you will assist Uchiha in organizing the Yuhi clan's territory. In 3 days, the Yuhi clan's territory will be moved closer to the Hagoromo clan's territory. The 4 elite Jonin and the Yuhi siblings bowed and accepted the order. After glancing at them, Hagoromo Chihana stood up and left the council hall, with Hagoromo Ishihara following closely behind. 3 days passed in a flash. The Yuhi clan was already organized, with all their belongings packed onto carts, ready to depart. At this moment, the entire Yuhi clan territory was deserted. From now on, these Yuhi clan members didn't know if they would ever have the chance to return here again. Let's go, depart. With Hagoromo Chihana's command, men, women, young, and old moved in a grand procession towards the Hagoromo clan territory. During the Sengoku period, bandits and brigands were everywhere. However, such a large group, flying the Hagoromo clan's banner, and with countless ninja in the convoy, was a sight to behold. Seeing this display, the bandits kept their distance, having no intention of courting death. Thus, after more than half a day of travel, there were no incidents on the road, and by almost evening, this large contingent finally returned to the Hagoromo clan territory. On the eastern slope of the Hagoromo clan territory, clan head Hagoromo Ryuzen, first elder Hagoromo Yukyu, second elder Hagoromo Masakata, and several elite Jonin appeared there. Seeing this, Hagoromo Chihana, accompanied by Hagoromo Taro, Uchiha, and others, walked over. Father. Hagoromo Chihana greeted first. Hagoromo Ryuzen nodded with a smile. You've worked hard. He then turned to Hagoromo Taro and the other 2, are you all unharmed? Hagoromo Taro and the 2 replied with smiles. No, the young clan head's planning was excellent, and he even repelled the young clan head of the Sanju clan, Senju Hashirama, so our casualties were very small. Hagoromo Ryuzen stepped forward and patted their shoulders. Without your valiant efforts against the enemy, how could we speak of victory? When you return to the clan will reward you. Thank you, clan head. Subsequently, Hagoromo Ryuzen turned his gaze to Uchiha. You are the newly appointed Yuhi clan head. Hagoromo Chihana had already ridden to the Hagoromo clan territory to inform them of the Yuhi clan's situation, so Hagoromo Ryuzen quickly confirmed Uchiha's identity with a little deduction. Facing the Hagoromo clan head's inquiry, Uchiha stepped forward and bowed, saying, Yes, Hagoromo clan head, I am the new Yuhi clan head appointed by the young clan head. Hagoromo Ryuzen nodded. Since Chihana appointed you, you will temporarily serve. Return to the clan territory first, and once the new Yuhi clan territory is built, you can move there. Uchiha nodded. Yes. After speaking, everyone turned and walked towards the Hagoromo clan territory. The Yuhi clan was temporarily arranged to set up tents and reside next to the Hagoromo clan territory. After all, ninja are quick, and new houses could be built in about 2 or 3 days, so it wouldn't be too late for them to move once the new territory was ready. Moreover, the weather had been clear these past few days, so living in tents wouldn't be an issue. Wow, so many supplies. Exactly, we finally aren't short on money. As all the supplies from the Tsuruta clan and the Yuhi clan were transported back to the Hagoromo warehouse, the ninja responsible for guarding the warehouse all grinned. First elder Hagoromo Yukyu, who was in charge of material management, also beamed with joy. All the supplies from 2 minor third-rate clans can certainly alleviate our immediate urgent needs. During the previous war with the 3 Senju clans, the Hagoromo clan had nearly depleted its money and weapons. Even after more than a year of recovery, money and weapons were still somewhat scarce. Now, with the accumulated money and weapons of Yuhi and Tsuruta brought back, the Hagoromo clan's logistical pressure was much reduced. If it weren't for the Yuhi clan setting up tents outside the clan territory, Hagoromo Yukyu would have been tempted to throw a party to celebrate. However, considering that the Yuhi clan was now an affiliated ninja clan of the Hagoromo family, it would be too excessive to confiscate their property and then celebrate. So, Hagoromo Yukyu suppressed his excited heart. In the evening, the Hagoromo family held a clan meeting. After rewarding Hagoromo Chihana, Hagoromo Taro, and other clan members who participated in the mission, everyone began discussing the site selection for the Yuhi family's new territory. Finally, after some discussion, Hagoromo Ryuzan decided to arrange the new Yuhi territory near Sunset Mountain to the west. After all the commotion these past few days, the Yuhi clan's matters were finally settled. After the clan meeting, Hagoromo Chihana walked out, ready for a good night's sleep. However, he had barely walked 2 steps out of the meeting when he saw Yuhi Chiyu. Young clan head Chihana. Yuhi Chiyu hurried over to greet Hagoromo Chihana. Hagoromo Chihana saw her and said, "Oh, Chiyu. We just discussed it. The Yuhi clan's new territory has been arranged at Sunset Mountain to the west. It's very close to the Hagoromo clan territory, so you can be contacted immediately if anything happens." Yuhi Chiyu nodded. "I understand, young clan head." Then, she hesitated for a moment and said, "Young clan head, can I?" Seeing Yuhi Chiyu stammering and not knowing what she was trying to say, Hagoromo Chihana asked, looking puzzled, "What?" Yuhi Chiyu's face flushed slightly. "It's just, can I follow you?" After saying that, Yuhi Chiyu immediately lowered her head, not looking at Hagoromo Chihana. "Hagoromo Chihana, why would you follow me? I'm going back to sleep." Yuhi Chiyu whispered. "Young clan head, you saved me that day, and I haven't repaid you yet. So I want to follow you and slowly repay your life-saving kindness." Actually, there was another reason she didn't mention, which was that earlier today, the Hagoromo clan had said to temporarily let Yuhi Chiyo serve as clan head, rather than directly confirming Yuhi Chiyo as the Yuhi clan head. So, after some consideration, she came to find Hagoromo Chihana. However, it was unclear which of these 2 reasons held more weight. Hearing Yuhi Chiyu say that, Hagoromo Chihana waved his hand. It was just a small favor, no need to dwell on it. But, Chapter 108 Mission Rewards. After some entanglement, Hagoromo Chihan finally agreed to Yuhi Chiyu's request. After all, the girl had already traveled with him, and he wasn't some monk, detached from worldly desires, seeing everything as mere skin and bones. He also had an appreciation for beauty, didn't he? So, Hagoromo Chihan let Yuhi Chiyu enter his family's main gate. "This is an empty room. I usually come here to research ninjutsu scrolls. You can stay here." Standing at the doorway, Hagoromo Chihan pushed open the door to the room next to his. Since he frequently visited this room, it only needed a quick tidy-up to be habitable. "Thank you, young clan head," Yuhi Chiyu said with a smile. "Just call me Chihan. Ni-san." Suddenly, 2 voices came from behind him. Hagoromo Chihan turned his head and asked, "When did you 2 get back?" The people who arrived were Hagoromo Chihan's 2 younger brothers. When Hagoromo Chihan went to the Yuhi clan, these 2 had gone out on a mission, so they weren't home. The 5th brother said, "We came back yesterday. We went out to practice ninjutsu today. Is this our sister-in-law?" The 6th brother's gaze fell upon Yuhi Chiyu. Hearing this, Yuhi Chiyu's face instantly flushed red. I. Buzz. A Rasengan instantly condensed in Hagoromo Chihan's hand. "Wow, cool." The 5th brother's eyes immediately lit up as he looked at the Rasengan. The 6th brother swallowed. "Be big brother, what do you want to do?" Hagoromo Chihan grinned. "Cool, isn't it?" The 2 little ones immediately nodded. "If it's cool, then hurry up and go to sleep. I'll teach you when I have time." Hearing this, the 2 little ones nodded excitedly, then turned and walked towards their rooms. As he was about to enter his room, the 6th brother poked his head out again. "Goodbye, sister-in-law." After saying that, he slammed the door shut with a bang. Seeing this, Hagoromo Chihan turned back and smiled. "Don't mind him, that kid's a bit crazy." Yuhi Chiyu's face was still flushed, and she just nodded, whispering, "You should rest early. I'm going back now." After saying that, Hagoromo Chihan turned and walked towards his own room. After watching Hagoromo Chihan close his door, Yuhi Chiyu breathed a sigh of relief. then turned and closed her own door, starting to tidy her room. Ding tilde you helped the Yuhi clan overcome their crisis and made them a vassal of the Hagoromo clan. Mission complete. Rewarding the host with 1 point of talent limited. Would you like to use it? Hagoromo Chihin, who had entered his room, heard the system prompt and wasn't surprised at all. Based on the few missions he'd completed so far, the system rewards were always issued after he returned to his clan's territory. So now was about the time for the system to pop up. Use it, Hagoromo Chihin nodded. He wondered what bloodline limit the system would give him this time. Ding tilde congratulations, host, on awakening Yin release. Senju Hashirama, by using the ultimate vitality of Yang release, activated Wood release, giving it the power to quell chaos. Host, by using the ultimate spiritual power of Yin release to activate Ice release, will also give Ice release incredible power. Oh, the system's words made Hagoromo Chihin's eyes widen slightly. The next moment, he felt a strange sensation wash over him. It felt as if his entire soul had suddenly been purified, and he had a sense of clarity throughout his body. After this sensation ended, Hagoromo Chihin gradually came back to his senses, using ultimate Yin release to activate Ice release. Hagoromo Chihin's heart began to pound slightly. When this mission was first issued, he had thought he would receive a new bloodline limit, and at the time, he felt it would be somewhat redundant. But now, it seemed this reward was tailor-made for him. After all, Senju Hashirama would probably be able to use Wood release for large-scale area attacks within a few years, and he wasn't confident he could defeat Senju Hashirama with just Ice release. But now, by using Yin release to activate Ice release would possess power equivalent to Wood release. At that time, he would definitely engage in area of effect battles with Senju Hashirama. Forget it, time to sleep. I'll research it tomorrow. Saying this, Hagoromo Chihin lay on the bed and closed his eyes to rest. Cock-a-doodle-doo. As the sun rose, the rooster in the yard began to crow. Hagoromo Chihin pushed open his door and went to wash up. Damn it, this is ridiculous. Hagoromo Chihin muttered as he washed up. Perhaps because he had awakened Yin release, he had been unusually energetic all last night. Though not exactly hyper, he consistently felt refreshed, which made it impossible for him to sleep. Finally, out of helplessness, he could only lie in bed and ponder how he would develop ninjutsu in the future. And surprisingly, after a night of thinking, he actually came up with a few good ideas. Young clan head Chihin, good morning. Yuhi Chiyu walked over, looking as if she had just finished washing up. Morning. Hagoromo Chihin nodded. Seeing a beautiful girl appear before him first thing in the morning instantly gave him a pleasant feeling. This feeling was completely incomparable to seeing two little brats early in the morning, as he used to. Ni-san, Ohio my ass, hurry up and wash up, then eat. Fifth brother, sixth brother. Ni-san, you've changed. I have indeed grown stronger, so I'm considering whether or not to teach you Rasengan. Hagoromo Chihin nodded, pondering thoughtfully. Ni-san, you've become even cooler than before, so you'll definitely teach us Rasengan, right? Facing Hagoromo Chihin's threat, the sixth brother immediately changed his tune, shamelessly compromising. Hagoromo Chihin chuckled. Let's eat first. I'll teach you after we eat. At the dinner table, Hagoromo Chihin, the two little brats, and Yuhi Chiyu sat around eating. As for the clan head, Hagoromo Takagawa, ever since the war over a year ago, he had essentially been living in the area where clan affairs were handled. Normally, the maids would prepare his meals and deliver them in a food box. After breakfast and feeding the silly dog, Yuhi Chiyu went to help out at the Yuhi clan, while Hagoromo Chihin took the two little brats to the courtyard. Now, as you probably already know, Rasengan is an A-rank ninjutsu, so it's quite difficult. Be mentally prepared. The two little ones nodded. Yes, we understand, Ni-san. Seeing this, Hagoromo Chihin took out a balloon, filled it with water, and then channeled chakra. The first step in training Rasengan is to make the chakra inside the water balloon spin in different directions simultaneously, and use the chakra's rotation to burst the water balloon. Bang! The water balloon burst, and water splashed everywhere. Just like that, do you understand? The two little ones stood in place, deep in thought. Seeing this, Hagoromo Chihin walked to the other side and began researching ninjutsu, preparing to put his ideas from last night into practice. Chapter 109. Ice Escape, Light Energy Aggregation. In the Hagoromo clan territory, at the clan leader's residence, two little brats were at one end of the courtyard, diligently practicing Rasengan with water balloons. Though their practice was far from commendable, their faces looked constipated, unable to squeeze out a single fart for a long time. At the other end of the courtyard, Hagoromo Chiharu sat under a tree, contemplating his next training challenge. Using extreme yin release to fuel ice release, Hagoromo Chiharu extended his right hand, forming a block of ice, and attempted to fuel it with yin release. However, as soon as he raised his right hand, holy crap, the rising sun's rays passed through the ice block, directly shining into Hagoromo Chiharu's eyes. Blinded by the sunlight, Hagoromo Chiharu cursed and instinctively closed his eyes, turning his head away. Afterward, he lowered his right hand and opened his eyes. Damn it, almost blinded my 24K pure titanium, handsome eyes. And surprisingly, this ice block had quite strong light transmission. After turning his back to the sun, Hagoromo Chiharu picked up the ice block again, preparing to try injecting yin release, just to get a feel for it. Wait, Hagoromo Chiharu, who was practicing an enhanced version of ice release, suddenly had a flash of inspiration. Ice block, light transmission, convex lens. At this moment, memories from his childhood in his previous life suddenly flooded his mind. When he was in elementary school, his family had a magnifying glass, which he often used to focus sunlight and burn ants. As long as the angle was right and the weather was clear, the focused sunlight could instantly make ants smoke. Even after he grew up, he would occasionally still use a magnifying glass to focus sunlight and burn ants for fun, because men are boys until they die, after all. Now that he thought about it, a convex lens could be made from ice. If he developed this technique properly, the concentrated sunlight shining on a person in an instant would be terrifying to even imagine. Without further ado, Hagoromo Chiharu turned directly to face the sun and began creating a convex lens in front of him using ice release. As ice release was used, a circular ice sheet began to appear, and sunlight passed through it, casting a hazy light and shadow. Immediately after, Hagoromo Chiharu began manipulating his chakra to change the shape of the ice sheet, making it resemble a convex lens. However, this process was not smooth sailing. A convex lens is a shape that bulges in the center and gradually flattens towards the edges, and precisely finding this center and changing it with chakra was not so easy. At first, Hagoromo Chiharu spent a great deal of effort just to find the center, but when he then tried to create the convex lens, he couldn't make the ice surface smooth and even. While changing the shape of the ice sheet, he often made the ice surface slightly convex here and slightly concave there, ultimately failing to converge the sunlight, only allowing it to pass through the ice sheet to form scattered light spots and halos. Damn it, I mastered tree climbing and water walking long ago, so chakra control shouldn't be an issue, theoretically. But now it seems that to complete this ninjutsu, even more precise chakra control is needed. Hagoromo Chiharu, controlling the ice sheet, couldn't help but mutter. Slowly, time passed, and the sun gradually rose directly overhead. To develop this ninjutsu, Hagoromo Chiharu moved directly from under the tree to the center of the courtyard, developing the ninjutsu under the scorching sun. Fortunately, he was developing ice release, and the constantly condensing ice blocks in front of him continuously released cold air, making him feel less hot. However, with the sun beating down, Hagoromo Chiharu felt that he probably got several shades darker this morning. Finally, when the sun reached its zenith, Hagoromo Chiharu let out a long breath. This magnifying glass was finally complete. The next steps would be much simpler. He just needed to enlarge this ice-made convex lens and make a few adjustments. After all, the larger the convex lens, the more sunlight it gathers, and the higher the temperature at the focal point. A smaller convex lens might not even burn an ant to death, but a convex lens with a diameter of 30 centimeters could gather enough sunlight to even melt a 1-cent coin. Therefore, to increase the power of this technique, he just needed to enlarge the convex lens, adjust it, and gather more sunlight. The initial development of this technique is complete. Let's give it a name. It's called light release. No, it's ice release. Let's call it ice release, light energy convergence. Light energy convergence was also a memory of his previous life. Speaking of light energy convergence, Hagoromo Chiharu instinctively thought of Cosmic Star God, the anime that made Blue Fox famous. He recalled that when he was young, a series of excellent Chinese animations like The Adventures of Lolo, Armor Hero, Fruit Gungan, and Cosmic Star God directly formed his childhood memories. It's a pity that after Blue Fox declined, children of the new era could only watch pink hairdryers jump into mud puddles, singing Maka Paka. After shaking his head with a smile, Hagoromo Chiharu prepared to continue developing this light energy convergence technique. Young clan leader, it's time to eat. The maid suddenly walked over. Hagoromo Chiharu looked up at the sky. It was indeed mealtime. All right, let's go. Ni-san, this Rasengan feels so hard. The two little ones walked up to Hagoromo Chiharu and complained. Hagoromo Chiharu smiled at their words. Take your time. It's an A-rank ninjutsu, it's not that easy to master. One must know that even Naruto, with his protagonist Halo, took a week to learn it. These two little brats didn't have a protagonist Halo, so how could they master this ninjutsu so easily? Woof woof. At this moment, the silly dog ran in from outside, looking excited. This silly dog basically spent all day away from home, constantly running wild outside the clan territory, only returning at mealtime to eat. But this was good. It saved the silly dog from staying in the clan territory with its abundant energy nowhere to be vented, leading to boredom and tearing up the house. Anyway, its speed was similar to that of a regular jonin, so it wouldn't encounter any danger. Let it roam outside. Let's eat. Hagoromo Chiharu glanced at the silly dog, then walked into the house, and the silly dog, grinning, followed closely behind. A simple lunch was thus finished. After delivering the meal to the clan leader, the maid returned to clear the dishes and then eat her own meal. As for Hagoromo Chiharu and the two little ones, they continued to practice ninjutsu in the courtyard. And the silly dog, well, it ran off again. One day later, above the clan leader's courtyard, a very inconspicuous circular ice block floated there. As the angle of the ice block was adjusted, sunlight gradually converged, passing through the ice block to form a conical beam of light. Ice release. Light energy convergence. The light silently shot towards the tree in the courtyard. In an instant, smoke billowed, followed by a loud whoosh, and the treetop immediately caught fire. Chapter 110. New Ice Escape. Oh my goodness. The burning treetop made Hagoromo Chiharu's eyes widen. Once he reacted, he quickly dispelled the ice lens in the air and simultaneously formed hand signs to extinguish the fire. Water release, water colliding wave. Whoosh, large streams of water surged from around Hagoromo Chiharu, directly gushing towards the treetop, putting out the flames that had ignited. Swish, swish, swish. Three dark figures suddenly landed in the courtyard. Young clan head, one of the clansmen, holding a kunai, looked at Hagoromo Chiharu with a puzzled expression. Where was the enemy? Seeing this, Hagoromo Chiharu gave an awkward laugh. I was developing a ninjutsu here, it was an accident. The three clansmen who had entered the courtyard put away their kunai and laughed simultaneously. Ha ha, we thought an enemy had infiltrated. Hagoromo Chiharu waved his hand. Who would be so bold as to infiltrate our Hagoromo clan territory? It's nothing, you can leave. Yes. The three nodded and vanished from the courtyard in a flash. Ni-san, what kind of ninjutsu is that? It's amazing. The two little ones also came over at this time. Hagoromo Chiharu ruffled their heads. This is an application of ice release. You can't learn it, but if one of you happens to awaken ice release, I could teach you. After speaking, Hagoromo Chiharu channeled his chakra and jumped onto a slightly thicker branch. In just 2 or 3 seconds, the center of this large tree's trunk had been burned through, leaving a fist-sized hollow, and the black walls of the cavity made it impossible to see its depth. Although the area around the hollow had been extinguished, the carbonized wood was still radiating heat. Hiss, the power of this is truly outrageous. Looking at the hollow tree trunk, Hagoromo Chiharu stood on the branch, unable to help but click his tongue in amazement. With the power of this light energy convergence technique, if it were directed at someone's head, the scene would be, just thinking about it sends shivers down my spine. Hagoromo Chiharu shook his head as he jumped down from the tree. This tree was ruined. Not only did its trunk have a hollow center, but even the area around the hollow was carbonized. He should find time to cut it down for firewood. Ni-san, why are you shaking your head? The fifth child asked curiously. Hagoromo Chiharu smiled. This technique is too powerful. I'm just feeling sorry for the enemy in advance. It has to be you, Ni-san, the sixth child couldn't help but retort. Hagoromo Chiharu raised an eyebrow. Kid, you're getting a bit too cocky lately. Ni-san, I'm sorry. The sixth child shouted and turned to run. Seeing this, the fifth child also followed. Sixth child, wait for me. Watching his two younger brothers run off, Hagoromo Chiharu couldn't help but smile. This kind of life was truly good. However, to live the life he desired, he still had to constantly grow stronger. Otherwise, once war arrived, if he didn't have the corresponding strength, family ruin and death could only be the final outcome. After a moment of reflection, Hagoromo Chiharu decided to go out and practice ninjutsu. After all, he couldn't fully unleash himself at home, and if he wasn't careful, he might accidentally demolish the house. So, it was better to practice in the forest west of the clan territory. Leaving the clan territory and taking a detour, Hagoromo Chiharu entered the forest to the west. Forest. After finding an ancient tree and sitting down, Hagoromo Chiharu couldn't help but think of Senju Hashirama's wood release as he looked at his surroundings. He estimated that in a few years, Senju Hashirama would be able to use a series of area of effect ninjutsu like deep forest emergence, wood golem, and advent of a world of flowering trees. Therefore, he also had to work hard to develop ninjutsu that could contend with it. First, using yin release to activate ice release. These past 2 days, during the daytime, Hagoromo Chiharu developed the light energy convergence technique that required the sun. After the sun set, he attempted to infuse yin release into ice release. Through his practice on these 2 nights, he was already able to infuse yin release into ice release. And what he needed to do now was to use yin release to activate ice release, thereby causing ice release to undergo a transformation. Since his previous training had already allowed Hagoromo Chiharu to skillfully infuse yin release power into ice release, and he could also skillfully use the yin release rewarded by the system. Therefore, it took him about 2 or 3 hours to already be able to activate ice release with yin release, thereby obtaining a brand new ice release power. After performing a simple ice release ninjutsu, Hagoromo Chiharu could clearly feel its difference from before. Firstly, the new ice release felt much more agile than the original ice release. This feeling was as if these ice release were alive, yet they had no life force. This feeling was very strange. It is said that the 9-tailed beasts were created by the 6-path sage using yin-yang release after splitting the 10 tails as chakra. Among them, yang release represents ultimate vitality, while yin release represents ultimate spiritual power. In that case, the birth of the 9-tailed beasts was based on the 10 tails as chakra as the origin, with yang release granting vitality and yin release granting spiritual power, thereby creating 9 brand new life forms. Thinking of this, Hagoromo Chiharu roughly understood what this new ice release was about. Because of the enhancement of yin release, when ice release was used, it acquired some characteristics of spiritual power, but these characteristics did not possess the ability to give them thought. Simply put, when ice release is used, it will have certain spiritual connections with Hagoromo Chiharu, allowing Hagoromo Chiharu to use ice release more easily. Additionally, due to the enhancement of yin release, the new ice release also possessed some additional characteristics. Just like wood release, which is enhanced by yang release, can absorb chakra, and if there's no chakra, it directly absorbs life force. Ice release, enhanced by yin release, can freeze the thoughts of living beings. This characteristic might not sound as impressive as wood release extracting others' chakra and life force, but in reality, its power is extremely terrifying. To verify this thought-freezing characteristic, Hagoromo Chiharu formed hand signs, causing a layer of ice to appear on the ground. Unlike the frost release where a layer of frost appeared on the ground, this ninjutsu directly created an ice surface 2 to 3 centimeters thick on the ground. At this moment, a wild rabbit in the distance was pricking up its ears, cautiously eating grass. Hagoromo Chiharu used a body flicker technique to catch it. The wild rabbit, held by its ears by Hagoromo Chiharu, struggled continuously, but unfortunately, it couldn't escape his grasp. With an experimental mindset, Hagoromo Chiharu threw the wild rabbit onto the ice surface. As the wild rabbit landed, it was still twisting its body, but as soon as it hit the ground, its eyes immediately became vacant. After its forepaws fumbled forward a bit, the wild rabbit simply lay motionless on the ground. Holy cow, it works that fast. Hagoromo Chiharu couldn't help but exclaim. Chapter 111 Inches Expanding Territory. Watching the rabbit that had already collapsed, Hagoromo Chiharu was surprised, but even more satisfied with the effect of the new ice release. This was still because his current strength was relatively weak, and the ice release was not fully developed. Once he became stronger and further developed ice release, not only the enemy's thoughts but even their souls would be frozen. At that time, the enemy's body would be frozen by the external ice release, and their soul by yin release. Once the body was struck and shattered, the soul would also shatter along with it. It could be said that once an enemy was struck by Hagoromo Chiharu's ice release, their soul would not even be qualified to enter the afterlife. Complete annihilation would be their final destination. Now that I've learned the new ice release, it's time to develop large-scale ninjutsu. With that, Hagoromo Chiharu stood up. To develop large-scale ninjutsu, he first needed an enemy to benchmark against, and the person Hagoromo Chiharu chose was Senju Hashirama. After all, when it came to developing area of effect attacks, Senju Hashirama was the one to look to. And Senju Hashirama's first area of effect ninjutsu was wood release, deep forest emergence. Hagoromo Chiharu wanted to develop ninjutsu that could rival deep forest emergence, and he just needed to follow this line of thought. Firstly, deep forest emergence had its overwhelming growth due to the characteristic of wood release. For ice release, wanting ice to grow like wood would certainly be unrealistic. Even if Hagoromo Chiharu could develop such ninjutsu, it would feel like trying to draw a tiger but ending up with a dog. Therefore, since he was developing ice release, it had to possess the aggressive capabilities of wood release while also conforming to the characteristics of ice release. Senju Hashirama's wood release can continuously grow forward, allowing him to create vast primeval forests. If ice release wants to contend with it, it must also continuously expand its ice and snow territory, Hagoromo Chiharu mused, stroking his chin. The night he first obtained yin release, he indeed had many ideas, but those were all just fantasies based on not understanding the new ice release. But now, with the new characteristics of ice release, those original ideas were somewhat outdated. However, not all of those ideas were useless, some of them could still be used as reference. Thus, Hagoromo Chiharu leaned against a tree, contemplating how to continuously expand his ice and snow territory. Continuously expanding, Hagoromo Chiharu mumbled, suddenly recalling an ancient phrase, expanding territory. That's right, expanding territory. Expanding ice and snow territory, isn't that expanding territory? And to expand territory, you must have soldiers. At this thought, Hagoromo Chiharu's ideas instantly opened up. Deep forest emergence was Senju Hashirama continuously expanding primeval forests with trees, ultimately creating an area of effect result. Then, if he used soldiers made of ice to expand territory and create a world of ice and snow, couldn't that also produce an area of effect result? Coincidentally, ice release, powered by yin release, already possessed certain spiritual energy characteristics. If he could further develop it, then it wouldn't be impossible for soldiers forged from ice to have autonomous movement and thus expand territory. As his ideas became more complete, Hagoromo Chiharu stood up excitedly and began to develop these ice soldiers with the nature of expanding territory. In the forest, Hagoromo Chiharu continuously released ice release chakra, attempting to create ice soldiers using various methods. Slowly, the sun gradually set, and the light in the forest dimmed. In the silent forest, a humanoid ice block slowly formed beside Hagoromo Chiharu. However, as Hagoromo Chiharu looked at the outline of the ice person in front of him, he found it increasingly familiar. Good heavens, isn't this me? As the ice person fully formed, Hagoromo Chiharu suddenly had an idea. An ice person that looks so much like me, why don't I first develop an ice clone ninjutsu? At this stage, the mainstream clone ninjutsu were earth clone and water clone, while lightning clone was rare. As for wind clone and fire clone, they had never even been heard of. A common characteristic of these clones was their rigidity. Therefore, Hagoromo Chiharu suddenly felt that it was very necessary for him to develop a clone ninjutsu that was as agile and capable of independent action as the shadow clone. Time slowly passed. With Senju Tobarama's shadow clone ninjutsu from the original work as a reference, Hagoromo Chiharu gradually gained some ideas for developing his ice clone. Whoosh! Suddenly, a dark figure landed in front of Hagoromo Chiharu. Hagoromo Chiharu looked up. Father. Hagoromo Ryakawa nodded. It's so late, why aren't you back at the clan compound? Hagoromo Chiharu glanced at his surroundings, then scratched his head somewhat sheepishly. Sorry, I was too focused on developing ninjutsu, I didn't notice the time. The air suddenly fell silent. After 4 or 5 seconds, Hagoromo Ryakawa finally spoke. You are the most talented ninja of my Hagoromo clan's younger generation. I hope you can bear the responsibility of being the young clan head, and not act on your own, staying out late into the night and not returning to the clan, making the clan members worry about your safety. After speaking, Hagoromo Ryakawa snorted coldly, turned around, and walked towards the clan compound. Seeing this, Hagoromo Chiharu, knowing he was in the wrong, did not retort and obediently followed him back. After all, Hagoromo Ryakawa's words were not wrong. In this Sengoku period full of bloodshed, he ran out to train without a word and then didn't think about returning until late at night. No matter what, he was the young clan head of the Hagoromo clan, and doing this was truly inappropriate. Hagoromo Chiharu was not someone who didn't know good from bad. Hagoromo Ryakawa was scolding him out of concern, so he could only obediently accept the reprimand. Back at the clan compound, their family had a long-awaited dinner together. However, there was an outsider, Yuhi-Chiyu, at the dinner table. Hagoromo Ryakawa, who understood what had happened, didn't say much about it. And so, dinner ended in a strange atmosphere. The next day, after greeting his family, Hagoromo Chiharu once again went to the forest west of the clan compound to train. By noon, as Hagoromo Chiharu performed hand signs, a humanoid ice block gradually emerged, eventually forming into Hagoromo Chiharu's likeness. Yo, main body. The clone raised its hand in greeting. Hagoromo Chiharu nodded, then asked, how strong are you? The clone spread its hands. As weak as you are, that's how weak I am. Hagoromo Chiharu. Why did this clone feel so annoying? Then, Hagoromo Chiharu raised his hand and threw a punch at the clone. The clone naturally understood that the main body was testing its strength, so it also raised its hand and retaliated. Chapter 112. Ice and Snow Kingdom. After a series of tests, Hagoromo Chicken ultimately determined that the strength of a clone was related to the amount of chakra he distributed. The more chakra he distributed, the stronger the clone would be. Of course, the extent of this strength would certainly not exceed that of the original body. Furthermore, only when a clone sustained a fatal injury would it turn into ice and disappear, which was much more robust than a shadow clone disappearing after taking even minor damage. Therefore, overall, the effect of this ice clone was actually quite similar to Senju Hashirama's wood clone. After testing the effects of the ice clone, Hagoromo Chicken voluntarily dispelled the ice clone jutsu and began to continue developing the ice release area of effect ninjutsu he had been working on yesterday, which was meant to rival Hashirama's deep forest emergence. With the experience of developing the ice clone, creating ice soldiers became much simpler. In just 1 second, Hagoromo Chicken produced an ice person in front of him. Unlike the ice clone, the ice person's appearance was only a silhouette somewhat similar to Hagoromo Chicken, but in other aspects, it was virtually indistinguishable from an ice sculpture. Moreover, it did not possess the same thought process as Hagoromo Chicken. Unlike the ice clone, this ice soldier only had simple instincts for action, much like a robot with pre-programmed commands. It seems a bit too simplistic. Hagoromo Chicken muttered, looking at the ice person in front of him. Subsequently, Hagoromo Chicken began to channel chakra, adding elements to the ice person's body. After an unknown amount of time, the image of an ancient soldier, clad in armor, holding a shield in its left hand and a sword in its right, appeared. It stood in place like an ice sculpture, but with a thought from Hagoromo Chicken, the ice soldier instantly swung its sword, and the nearby large tree was directly severed and fell. Its speed is roughly that of a genin, but its strength is more than a notch above a genin's. Hagoromo Chicken nodded. He then threw a punch, intending to test the ice soldier's defense. Boom! His chakra-infused fist directly blasted a hole in the ice soldier's chest, but unlike the ice clone, the ice soldier did not disappear, it still retained its ability to attack. To test how much damage the ice person could sustain before ceasing to function, Hagoromo Chicken began to inflict damage upon it. However, the ice soldier did not last long. After losing its limbs and its ability to attack, the ice person directly shattered into ice shards. But to Hagoromo Chicken's surprise, the remnants of these ice soldiers were not simply discarded. Instead, they rapidly spread out like a fluid, forming an ice layer area over a meter wide and 2 meters long. Along with this, most of the chakra used to create the ice soldiers returned to Hagoromo Chicken's body. This meant that even if the ice soldiers were destroyed, Hagoromo Chicken's chakra loss was very small, and relying on this characteristic, Hagoromo Chicken could continuously produce ice soldiers during combat. Expanding territory. Ice soldiers exchanging sacrifice for territorial expansion, thereby establishing their own kingdom. Once this ninjutsu is fully developed, I'll call it Ice Release, Ice and Snow Kingdom. Looking at the ice layer left behind by the ice soldiers, Hagoromo Chicken sighed with emotion while naming this ninjutsu. With the success of the first ice soldier, the subsequent steps became much simpler. After Hagoromo Chicken performed hand signs, ice soldiers began to appear one by one in front of him. However, as ice people were continuously created, Hagoromo Chicken also discovered a problem. Performing this ninjutsu was very tiring. It wasn't physical exhaustion, nor was it mental fatigue, but rather a feeling of emotional exhaustion. This was because these ice soldiers could not be produced in batches all at once. He had to create them one by one. And the time spent creating these ice people was also long. Almost every ice soldier took 2 to 3 seconds to create. Therefore, all these factors combined made this ninjutsu somewhat impractical. Where exactly did I go wrong? With this speed of creating ice soldiers, it's simply not realistic to clash head-on with Senju Hashirama's deep forest emergence. Hagoromo Chicken dispelled the ice soldiers he had created, furrowing his brow as he pondered once more. The speed at which Hagoromo Chicken was currently creating ice soldiers reminded him of the scene of Nuwa creating humans in ancient myths, where she fashioned each person individually. Unlike himself, when Nuwa was creating humans, she felt that molding them one by one was too arduous, so she took a vine, dipped it in mud, swung it, and used the flung mud droplets to mass-produce humans. But if he were to create ice soldiers, he couldn't just fling out a few ice blocks. That was simply not realistic. No rush, I'm a transmigrator. Let me think back to games and anime from my previous life, and see if there's a way to solve this problem. After rubbing his cheeks, Hagoromo Chicken began to recall memories from his past life. According to games, producing soldiers requires barracks. With barracks, one can better mass-produce soldiers. Therefore, he could first create a barracks that could mass-produce soldiers. Upon realizing this, Hagoromo Chicken instantly felt a sense of sudden enlightenment. But how should I build a barracks that produces soldiers? Hagoromo Chicken began to work on creating the barracks while contemplating. His first thought was to reference the ice flow wall jutsu and create a 4-sided enclosed wall, but it was clear that this method simply wouldn't work. Therefore, Hagoromo Chicken could only explore and experiment bit by bit. And so, after about half a year, in a clearing in a forest, looking at the crystal-clear gate tower beneath his feet, Hagoromo Chicken couldn't help but shout excitedly, "I finally succeeded." Standing on the gate tower, Hagoromo Chicken's eyes were filled with excitement. After more than 5 months, he had finally created his first ninjutsu that could be considered S rank. Ice Release, Ice and Snow Kingdom. To be honest, Hagoromo Chicken was almost driven to a breakdown trying to create this barracks capable of producing soldiers. Fortunately, perseverance paid off, and he finally completed this ninjutsu today. The gate tower-style barracks beneath his feet was about 4 meters high, and 10 meters long and wide, with each wall having 5 gates less than 2 meters wide. With the enhancement of Yin Release, the barracks Hagoromo Chicken created already possessed a certain degree of autonomy. This autonomous ability was like a program. As long as Hagoromo Chicken infused chakra, it would continuously produce ice soldiers, thereby expanding territory and creating a kingdom covered in ice and snow. After a moment of excitement, Hagoromo Chicken dispelled the ninjutsu and ran towards the clan's territory. Since the ninjutsu had been developed, he had to find an opponent to properly test the power of this S-rank ice release ninjutsu. Since the place where Hagoromo Chicken cultivated was not far from the clan's territory, he quickly found his father, the clan head Hagoromo Ryuzen, who was handling clan affairs. Chapter 113. First fight against the Patriarch. Facing his eldest son, who had come to challenge him to a match, Hagoromo Rokukawa, who was already very concerned about the strength of his heir, hesitated for a moment before agreeing to the request. The news that the clan leader and young clan leader were going to spar was also learned by some high-ranking individuals. Among them were the two elders, Hagoromo Taro, Hagoromo Ishihara, Hagoromo Titanium, and others. With curiosity and anticipation, several people followed Hagoromo Rokukawa and Hagoromo Chihana to a wilderness outside the clan grounds. "Hey, weak man, how strong do you think the young clan leader is now?" Hagoromo Ishihara nudged Hagoromo Taro beside him with his elbow. Hagoromo Taro immediately became angry upon hearing this. "You bastard, who are you calling weak? Believe it or not, I'll beat you. If you weren't weak, how did you almost get killed last time? You're spouting nonsense. I fought 2 against 1 at the time, I was so brave, are you blind that you didn't see it?" "Oh, really?" Ignoring the quarrel between the two, Great Elder Hagoromo Rokukawa spoke up and asked Hagoromo Masakata beside him, "Masakata, what do you think?" Hagoromo Masakata was already a man of few words, and coupled with the fact that Hagoromo Chihana had used Theosubordinate Talent Assignment on him, his favorability towards Hagoromo Chihana was maxed out. Therefore, in response to the Great Elder's question, Hagoromo Masakata's eyes were firm, and he said succinctly, "I believe in the young clan leader." "You?" Hagoromo Rokukawa shook his head with a helpless smile. His family's second elder, whose personality was like his name, was simply too serious and proper. Even though Hagoromo Masakata had been promoted to second elder for almost 2 years, his usual communication with him was still relatively sparse. At this moment, Hagoromo Taro also stopped arguing with Hagoromo Ishihara, turned around, and looked at Hagoromo Masakata with an expression that said, "Great minds think alike. That's right, I also agree with the second elder, I believe in the young clan leader." Hagoromo Titanium, upon hearing this, expressed a different opinion. Although the young clan leader has extraordinary talent, and in the war half a year ago, he displayed combat power capable of contending with top elite Jonin, it is undeniable that the young clan leader has not reached the level of a clan leader, and his age is not great either. It must be known that the clan leader is a strong individual standing at the pinnacle of the Sengoku period, even Senju Butsuma and Uchiha Tajima can only fight him to a draw. Therefore, I believe the young clan leader has only made some breakthrough, which is why he wants the clan leader to guide him, and does not intend to defeat the clan leader. Hagoromo Ishihara nodded after hearing this. Titanium's words are fair, weak man, you're a bit too superstitious about the young clan leader's strength. TCH. Hagoromo Taro pouted. I didn't say the young clan leader could defeat the clan leader, I just believe in the young clan leader's strength. Also, if you call me weak man again, don't blame me for being impolite. Hagoromo Taro had not used Theosubordinate Talent Assignment, but he still had a sense of trust in Hagoromo Chihana that was higher than others. However, even so, he also did not believe that Hagoromo Chihana could defeat the clan leader. After all, the clan leader was one of the strongest individuals standing at the pinnacle of the Sengoku period. Putting aside the discussion over there, Hagoromo Chihana and Hagoromo Rokukawa were now standing opposite each other, separated by a distance of about 20 meters. "Father, I'm going to make my move." Hagoromo Rokukawa nodded, but his hands remained still. It was clear he didn't believe Hagoromo Chihana's methods could harm him. As his words fell, cold air surged from Hagoromo Chihana's feet, and then the surrounding ground was instantly covered by a layer of frost. The next second, the color of ice frost flashed, and Hagoromo Chihana instantly vanished from his original spot. Swish! Hagoromo Chihana reappeared behind Hagoromo Rokukawa, a short blade accompanying the sound of rushing air, striking directly at Hagoromo Rokukawa's back. Sensing the attack coming from behind him, Hagoromo Rokukawa tilted his body and easily dodged the blow. After turning around, he raised his hand and threw a punch at Hagoromo Chihana. Clang! Hagoromo Chihana blocked with his blade, but was unexpectedly sent flying 7 or 8 meters back by the immense force. Thud! After landing, Hagoromo Chihana slid back a bit further before stopping. Damn, my old man's strength is really something. After muttering to himself, Hagoromo Chihana's eyes sharpened, and he used Ice Leap to vanish again. Hagoromo Rokukawa in the distance reacted after Hagoromo Chihana appeared, then, without counter-attacking, he simply dodged his son's slashes, one after another. Is this your unique Ice Leap? I must say, your movement speed is indeed very fast, even I can't discern how you're moving. However, this ninjutsu has a drawback. After you appear, your attack speed remains unchanged. If you encounter someone much stronger than you, they can easily deal with it once they are prepared, just like now. Of course, you don't need to be disheartened. With this ninjutsu, you can be considered invincible among those of the same rank. Even top elite jonin who are stronger than you probably won't be your match. Hagoromo Rokukawa dodged while analyzing the pros and cons of Hagoromo Uchihana's ninjutsu. Of course, this drawback was not a flaw in the ninjutsu itself, but a flaw in Hagoromo Uchihana himself. If Hagoromo Uchihana's hand speed could be faster, then this drawback would not exist. After they had exchanged blows for a while, Hagoromo Rokukawa gradually felt something was amiss. Because he noticed that Hagoromo Uchihana's speed seemed to be increasing. When they first started, he could easily dodge Hagoromo Uchihana's attacks. But now, facing Hagoromo Uchihana's slashes, he actually felt it was somewhat difficult to dodge. Of course, in the eyes of Hagoromo Masakata and the others, it wasn't that the young clan leader's speed had increased, but rather that the clan leader's dodging speed had slowed down. However, facing this situation, they didn't think much of it, only assuming that the clan leader was holding back. Of course, in reality, Hagoromo Rokukawa was indeed holding back, but this holding back was somewhat different from what they understood. Clink. Finally, after finding it somewhat difficult to dodge, Hagoromo Rokukawa pulled out a kunai and blocked one of Hagoromo Uchihana's strikes. Then, the two began fighting with their weapons. Indeed, there is still a considerable gap in taijutsu between me and a true strong individual. Hagoromo Uchihana mused inwardly while fighting. Although Hagoromo Rokukawa's thinking ability had slowed down somewhat while in the ice domain, Hagoromo Rokukawa, once he became slightly serious, could still easily handle him in terms of taijutsu. However, Hagoromo Uchihana was only somewhat emotional about this, and did not feel disappointed. After all, he was still growing, and his strength was on the rise. It was perfectly normal for his taijutsu to not be as good as his father, a clan leader level strong individual. There was nothing to be discouraged about. After one blow, Hagoromo Uchihana used Ice Leap and instantly appeared in the distance. Chapter 114. Ice Crystals in the Sky. Is it over? Hagoromo Rokukawa frowned slightly, looking at Hagoromo Chiharu, who had suddenly stopped. He had been called out for a spar, and two elders from the clan, along with half of the top jonin elite, had also come. If Hagoromo Chiharu ended it like this, it would be too disappointing for him. Hagoromo Chiharu on the other side smiled, of course not. Next, it's time to show the results of my half-year of training. The taijutsu clash just now was merely to test the gap in taijutsu between himself and top-tier powerhouses. What he truly wanted to test was the power of the first S-ranked ninjutsu he had developed. Therefore, the taijutsu clash just now could only be considered an appetizer. So, how could this match possibly end like this? Oh, Hagoromo Rokukawa's brows relaxed a bit. He did know that Hagoromo Chiharu had been diligently training for the past 6 months, and he had even reprimanded him once for not coming home late at night. Unfortunately, he didn't know how well Hagoromo Chiharu's training was progressing. However, since he had trained for half a year and even called him out for a match, the results surely wouldn't be too bad. Looking at his father, who showed no vigilance, Hagoromo Chiharu grinned and clapped his hands. Ice release, Ice and Snow Kingdom. Rumble. As Hagoromo Chiharu's chakra flowed, a crystal-like castle tower rose directly from beneath his feet. This 4-meter-tall, 10-meter-wide ice castle tower piqued Hagoromo Rokukawa's curiosity. This ice release looks good. Powerful chakra gently stirred Hagoromo Chiharu's clothes. After the chakra was injected into the ice castle tower, the tower beneath his feet seemed to come alive. The 5 gates on the front alone gave off a bone-chilling sensation. Everything sounded complex, but after Hagoromo Chiharu completed the hand seals, the castle tower had already risen. Thump, thump, thump. Heavy and quick footsteps emanated from within the castle gates. The next moment, soldiers made of ice, armed with weapons, charged out directly from the castle gates. At the same time, accompanying the soldiers, advancing steps, a 2 to 3 centimeter thick layer of ice rapidly formed on the ground. Boom! An endless stream of ice soldiers surged out from 20 gates in 4 directions. Nearly 100 soldiers charged towards Hagoromo Rokukawa with overwhelming momentum. HMPH. Flashy but impractical. Seeing this scene, Hagoromo Rokukawa's curiosity dissipated. He immediately frowned and snorted coldly, preparing to teach his son a lesson. He wanted this heir to understand that ninjutsu, if it was only flashy, was useless. Earth release. Mud Dragon Bullet Jutsu. Roar. A fierce mud dragon swam through the air towards Hagoromo Chiharu, continuously spitting mud bullets at him. Facing the mud dragon's attack, Hagoromo Chiharu showed no panic. Several ice soldiers immediately jumped up to block the incoming mud bullets with their shields, while several other soldiers plunged their long swords into the mud dragon's body. Crack. Cold air flowed through, and the mud dragon in the air was instantly frozen, falling from midair and shattering into a pile of ice fragments. Seeing this, Hagoromo Rokukawa's expression changed faster than flipping a book. Has Chiharu's ice release become this strong already? Just as Hagoromo Rokukawa was surprised, the 5 ice soldiers at the very front had already rushed before him. Swish, swish, swish. 5 ice blades simultaneously slashed down, the cold air flowing from the blades making one's hair stand on end. As Hagoromo Rokukawa retreated to dodge, he directly threw the kunai wrapped in the wind god sword. Hiss. The kunai pierced a fist-sized hole in the chest of one of the ice soldiers, but this still didn't stop the ice soldier's attack. It's not working. Hagoromo Rokukawa's expression began to turn serious. In that case. The next second, Hagoromo Rokukawa's right arm directly transformed into a mud flow. Boom. With a single punch, the opposing ice soldier instantly shattered. Immediately after, the mud flow suddenly transformed into a nearly half-meter thick pillar. Under Hagoromo Rokukawa's swing, the surrounding ice soldiers successively turned into shattered ice and fell to the ground. At the same time, these shattered ice also turned into fluid, causing a layer of ice to form on the ground around Hagoromo Rokukawa. Hagoromo Chiharu, on the other side, received the chakra flowing back from the damaged ice soldiers. He smiled slightly, and the ice castle tower beneath his feet released an equal number of ice soldiers again. Boom, boom, ... On the plain, nearly 100 soldiers made of ice continuously besieged Hagoromo Rokukawa. Although Hagoromo Rokukawa constantly destroyed the ice soldiers, their numbers showed no signs of decreasing. At the same time, as the ice soldiers were destroyed, the ice layer on the ground continuously spread outwards, quickly plunging the surrounding 2 to 3 miles into a world of ice. Even Hagoromo Masakata and the others, who were watching from a distance, were now within the range of the Ice and Snow Kingdom. Strange, why are these ice people getting faster and faster? Hagoromo Rokukawa, who was fighting the ice soldiers, gradually felt a sense of being overwhelmed. Unlike the thin layer of frost in the ice domain, the 2 to 3 centimeter thick ice layer of the Ice and Snow Kingdom quickly slowed down Hagoromo Rokukawa's thinking ability. Yet, he himself didn't notice the slowing of his thoughts, he could only feel the ice people getting faster and faster. In just 5 or 6 minutes, he felt somewhat unable to cope. Wait, my chakra circulation seems to be sluggish. His thoughts slowed down, which Hagoromo Rokukawa didn't notice, but the slowing of chakra flow, Hagoromo Rokukawa could clearly feel. No, I can't let this continue. Facing the increasingly fast ice soldiers, Hagoromo Rokukawa decided not to hold back anymore, because his son's ninjutsu already possessed the ability to make him take it seriously. After making his decision, Hagoromo Rokukawa immediately formed hand seals, earth release, mudslide jutsu. Rumble. A mudslide, imbued with terrifying power, surged majestically towards Hagoromo Chiharu. However, as soon as the mudslide had charged 5 or 6 meters, the ice soldiers raised their shields and pushed against it. Immediately after, the surging mudslide rapidly slowed down at a visible speed. After the mudslide had charged another 2 or 3 meters, a strange sound was heard, and the mudslide was instantly solidified into solid frozen earth with a whoosh. Nani? Hagoromo Rokukawa was truly astonished now. However, before he could react, the ice soldiers simultaneously raised their blades. Crack, boom, the frozen earth instantly shattered into countless fingernail-sized ice crystals that spread outwards. Under the sunlight, the yellowish ice crystals shimmered, exceptionally dazzling. Whoosh, ice crystals accompanied by a cold current fell from midair. The dense ice fragments were like snowflakes, leaving no space for anyone to dodge. Chapter 115 The Patriarch's Acknowledgement. Oh no, Hagoromo Rokukawa, on whom the ice crystals had fallen, exclaimed, then immediately unleashed his chakra to shake off the ice crystals. He realized that the ice crystals were starting to freeze on his body, and within a few breaths, a layer of ice nearly a centimeter thick had formed on him. If he didn't react soon, he would probably be frozen solid. On the other side, Hagoromo Masakata and Hagoromo Rokukawa, standing on the ice, also suddenly felt a sense of crisis. After the ice crystals fell on them, both instantly unleashed their chakra, shattering the ice layer on their bodies. Having resolved their own crisis, Hagoromo Masakata looked at the three people beside him, Hagoromo Taro. The three of them were now staring blankly, frozen in the ice, completely unresponsive. If this continued, they would likely be frozen solid. Quick, save them, Hagoromo Rokukawa roared, placing his hands directly on Hagoromo Ishihara and Hagoromo Titanium. Rumble, with a subtle explosion, Hagoromo Rokukawa directly used his own explosion release to shatter the ice layers on their bodies. Hagoromo Masakata next to him also channeled his chakra. Crack, the high-frequency vibrations of lightning shattered the ice layer on Hagoromo Taro's body. Go, take them and leave here. As his voice fell, Hagoromo Rokukawa propped up the two and walked out, simultaneously channeling his chakra to blow away the falling ice crystals in the air. A minute later, the two of them left the domain of the Ice and Snow Kingdom with Hagoromo Taro and the others. First Elder, what's wrong with them? Hagoromo Masakata frowned as he looked at the three people lying on the ground, staring blankly. Hagoromo Rokukawa shook his head, I don't know. Our clan previously had ancestors who awakened ice release, but according to clan records, none of their ice release had this kind of effect. So, I suspect the young clan leader's ice release might be different from ordinary ice release. Moreover, the young clan leader's new ice release ninjutsu is truly terrifying. When those ice crystals fell, even I felt my hair stand on end. This ninjutsu is already enough to threaten ordinary clan leader level ninja. Hearing this, Hagoromo Masakata silently nodded, indicating his agreement. On Hagoromo Senkin's side, Hagoromo Rokukawa, still in the Ice and Snow Kingdom, not only had to deal with the increasingly fast ice golem soldiers but also had to channel his chakra to counter the ice crystals falling from the sky. It could be said that facing Hagoromo Senkin's attack, Hagoromo Rokukawa was feeling considerable pressure at this moment. Good kid, to have grown to this extent. Hagoromo Rokukawa couldn't help but exclaim. At this moment, he finally no longer regarded Hagoromo Senkin as a weakling, but truly took him seriously, as if facing an opponent. Hagoromo Rokukawa's expression hardened, and his vast chakra even directly overflowed from his body, earth release, mud cover of heaven's descent. In the distance, seeing that he had suppressed his father, Hagoromo Rokukawa, Hagoromo Senkin couldn't help but feel smug. The ninjutsu he developed was indeed effective. Not only could it allow the ice golem soldiers to attack enemies while creating ice layers on the ground, but it could even freeze the enemy's ninjutsu, achieving both offense and defense. It's just a pity that his current strength is still a bit weak, only able to freeze ninjutsu with physical forms like water release and earth release. If he encountered ninjutsu like fire release or lightning release, then the Ice and Snow Kingdom would be somewhat stretched thin. Of course, when he gets stronger, these ninjutsu can also be frozen. For example, fire release could be directly frozen into a cloud of ice mist. It's just that with his current strength, he can't achieve that yet. Just as Hagoromo Senkin was secretly pleased with his ninjutsu, he suddenly noticed that the sky had darkened. Did it get cloudy? Hagoromo Senkin muttered, simultaneously looking up at the sky. However, when Hagoromo Senkin saw a large mass of mud falling from the sky, his eyes instantly widened. What the FCK? At the same time, looking at the mud cover falling from the sky, Hagoromo Rokukawa's pupils couldn't help but constrict, and his eyebrows furrowed directly. How could this be? How is this earth release ninjutsu so fast? He was, of course, most familiar with his own ninjutsu. This mud cover of heaven's descent, due to its enormous range, did not have much advantage in terms of speed. But now, the mud cover in the sky seemed to have increased in speed by more than a notch in Hagoromo Rokukawa's eyes. Could it be that my speed has slowed down? No, if my speed had slowed, I couldn't possibly not notice. At this moment, Hagoromo Rokukawa finally discovered the abnormality in himself. However, he didn't have time to think further now. Boom! The mud cover, over a mile in diameter, instantly buried Hagoromo Senkin. Immediately after, with a hum, the mud cover began to freeze from the center outwards at a visible speed. Seizing this opportunity, Hagoromo Rokukawa formed hand seals again, Earth Release, Mud Dragon Dance. In an instant, 4 massive mud dragons appeared directly in the sky, then swirled and plummeted downwards. Rumble. The 4 giant beasts crashed onto the ice, and the immense impact directly blasted a large pit in the center of the ice. In the middle of the ice pit, Hagoromo Senkin maintained the hand seal posture, panting heavily. Damn it. Is this old man trying to eliminate his own family for justice? After more than 10 seconds, a figure landed in the pit. Let the match end here. I already know your strength. Hagoromo Senkin leaned against the ice wall, panting and laughing. Clan leader level strength is truly formidable. Hagoromo Rokukawa looked at Hagoromo Senkin with a face full of relief. For you to possess such strength at this age is already incredibly impressive. When I was your age, I certainly didn't have this kind of strength. Moreover, you don't need to underestimate yourself. With this ice release of yours, you can already contend with ordinary clan leader level powerhouses. If you grow for another 2 years, figures like Shimura Kensuke should no longer be your opponents. Ha 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 ha. Hearing this, Hagoromo Senkin couldn't help but burst into laughter. After all, his father was one of the top powerhouses of the current era, and his words, to a certain extent, represented authority. Therefore, how could Hagoromo Senkin not be happy to hear his father's praise? By the way, I just felt my ninjutsu suddenly speed up a lot. What's going on? Hagoromo Rokukawa voiced his confusion. However, just as Hagoromo Senkin was about to explain, Hagoromo Rokukawa said again, never mind, don't say it. A ninja must prioritize the protection of information. Just remove my current state. I keep feeling like you're talking too fast, and my brain can't quite keep up. Hearing this, Hagoromo Senkin, for some reason, suddenly felt a little touched. Then, he nodded with a serious expression, reaching out to withdraw the yin release power clinging to his father's body. Chapter 116. Yuya Titanium arrives. The match ended just like that, and Hagoromo Chiharu and Hagoromo Ryakawa walked out of the world full of ice side by side. Patriarch, Chiharu. Patriarch, young patriarch, Hagoromo Yukyu and Hagoromo Masakata greeted the two. Then, Hagoromo Yukyu asked, Chiharu, what's wrong with those 3? As he spoke, he pointed to Hagoromo Tro, Hagoromo Ishihara, and Hagoromo Titanium, who were lying on the ground. The 3 of them lay on the ground, their eyes blank, their bodies motionless, like vegetative people. As the instigator, Hagoromo Chiharu naturally understood that their minds were frozen, which was why they appeared this way. It's nothing serious, just the effect of a ninjutsu. I'll just undo it for them. Hagoromo Chiharu stepped forward and withdrew the yin release power from their bodies. After 1 or 2 minutes, the eyes of the 3 gradually focused. Huh, why am I here? Hagoromo Tro sat up, scratching his head in confusion. Weren't they watching the match? How did they end up here? Hagoromo Ishihara and Hagoromo Titanium were equally puzzled. Seeing this, Hagoromo Chiharu smiled and said, you fell into my ninjutsu and fainted, but it's not a big problem. What? The 3 instantly widened their eyes upon hearing this. They were caught by a ninjutsu. How was that possible? But looking at the current situation, it seemed they really had been affected. What kind of ninjutsu is this? Why were we completely unaware? Hagoromo Ishihara exclaimed in shock. One must know, they were all elite jonin of top strength, considered among the strong even in the entire ninja world. Yet now, after being caught by the young patriarch's ninjutsu, they were completely oblivious to it. This ninjutsu was too terrifying. Hagoromo Chiharu waved his hand. Just a common genjutsu, not worth mentioning. After saying that, Hagoromo Chiharu said no more. Hagoromo Ryakawa was right, a ninja should pay attention to protecting their information, so a brief mention of his ninjutsu was enough, no need to elaborate. Seeing that the young patriarch didn't want to explain, they didn't press further, only able to guess in their hearts what kind of ability the young patriarch possessed. Unfortunately, Hagoromo Chiharu's ability had almost never appeared in the ninja world, so even if they racked their brains, they probably wouldn't figure it out. After resolving everyone's issues, the 7 returned to the clan territory. As for the large ice field left behind, Hagoro Mochiharu didn't bother to deal with it. Without chakra support, in this hot summer, the ice would probably melt away in 2 or 3 days. Days without war were always easy and pleasant. Since his match with his father, Hagoro Mochiharu, whose nerves had been taut for half a year, finally felt some relaxation. During these days, Hagoro Mochiharu basically stayed in the clan territory, either developing some small ice release ninjutsu or guiding the two youngsters in their training. Life was peaceful yet not boring. Chiharu, why do I always feel that my sunset illusion is not quite right in its cultivation? Hagoro Mochiharu was cooling off under the eaves in the courtyard when Uchiha suddenly scurried over to him and asked. Hagoro Mochiharu ate grapes. Use it on me, let me see. Uchiha nodded and began to form hand seals. As Hagoro Mochiharu gave up resistance, a setting sun appeared before his eyes, and the surrounding scenery subtly changed. The crimson and dim sunset light, just by looking at it, gave a dizzying sensation, making one feel drowsy. Understanding Uchiha's flaw, Hagoro Mochiharu instantly broke free from the genjutsu. When you cast genjutsu, Hagoro Mochiharu began to point out Uchiha's shortcomings. Ever since the Uchi clan became an affiliated ninja clan of the Hagoromo family, all of the Uchi clan's ninjutsu had been collected by the Hagoromo family. Additionally, with Hagoro Mochiharu possessing yin release, his genjutsu talent was maximized. Therefore, Hagoro Mochiharu had basically learned all of the Uchi clan's genjutsu and was very proficient in them. Thus, it was naturally no problem for him to guide Uchiha, a young girl who only possessed Jonin-level strength. After listening to Hagoro Mochiharu's advice, Uchiha suddenly felt a sense of enlightenment. You're amazing, Chiharu, it feels like no genjutsu can stump you. Uchiha, standing nearby, looked at Hagoro Mochiharu with admiration and joy in her eyes. Hagoro Mochiharu smiled at the girl's admiration and continued to lie back in his chair. It's nothing. Uchiha, having received Hagoro Mochiharu's guidance, returned to the house to practice genjutsu once again. Knock, knock, knock. A sudden knocking sound came from outside the gate. Hagoro Mochiharu, who was eating grapes, looked up and saw Hagoro Titanium standing outside the door. Seeing this, Hagoro Mochiharu stood up, carrying a bunch of grapes, and walked over. Uncle Titanium, come, have some grapes, come in and talk. As he spoke, Hagoro Mochiharu handed over the grapes and invited him into the courtyard. Unexpectedly, Hagoro Titanium smiled and declined. No, I'm here to invite the young patriarch to a gathering at my house. My 2 grandsons will be 1 year old the day after tomorrow, so I plan to invite a few friends to gather. I wonder if you have time to come. Hagoro Mochiharu was stunned upon hearing this. Then, he vaguely remembered that Hagoro Titanium did seem to have had grandsons born before, but he was on a mission at the time, so he hadn't paid much attention. Now that his grandsons were 1 year old, he naturally had to attend to show support. No problem, I'll definitely be there the day after tomorrow. Hagoro Mochiharu immediately agreed. Seeing this, Hagoro Titanium smiled and said, good, then I will await the young patriarch's arrival. I'm going to find Tro and the others now. Hagoro Mochiharu nodded, then watched Hagoro Titanium leave. Turning back into the courtyard, the 2 little rascals came over. Ni-san, will there be food at the first birthday banquet? Old 6 looked at Hagoro Mochiharu with some anticipation. Old 5, standing next to him, looked at him. So dumb, banquet, of course there'll be a feast. Old 6 grinned. Great. Ni-san, remember to take us with you the day after tomorrow, we want to feast too. Exactly. Old 5 quickly nodded in agreement. Looking at the 2 little rascals in front of him, Hagoro Mochiharu couldn't help but twitch the corners of his mouth a few times. Feasting, such a good thing as a first birthday banquet, why did these 2 little brats make it sound so strange? Alright, train well, and I'll take you with me the day after tomorrow. Rubbing the heads of the 2 youngsters, Hagoro Mochiharu, holding the grapes, returned to his lounge chair and slumped down, comfortable. Chapter 117 Little Golden Hair and Little Silver Hair. On the day of the first birthday celebration, Hagoro Mochiharu, along with Uchiha and his 2 foolish younger brothers, arrived at Hagoromo Tai's home. By then, Hagoromo Tai's house was already quite crowded. Looking around, he recognized almost everyone, the 6 clan council members, such as Hagoromo Taro and Hagoromo Ishihara, were all present. Teruiwa, long time no see. Upon seeing a familiar face, Hagoromo Chiharu stepped forward to greet him. The person was Hagoromo Teruiwa, the son of the great elder Hagoromo Yukyu. Chiharu. Hagoromo Teruiwa also responded with a smile. However, a hint of melancholy was visible in his eyes. As the son of the great elder, he naturally knew about the recent spar between Hagoromo Chiharu and the clan leader. He had been training diligently and going on missions for the past 2 years, hoping to narrow the gap between himself and Hagoromo Chiharu. But unexpectedly, after 2 years, the gap between them had not only failed to shrink but had actually widened. Alas, the disparity between ideals and reality truly was disheartening. Hagoromo Chiharu had no idea what Hagoromo Teruiwa was thinking. After exchanging greetings, he smiled and asked, "Are you here on behalf of the great elder?" The Sengoku period wasn't so particular. Hagoromo Tai had originally just wanted to invite a few people and keep the first birthday celebration simple. Therefore, the clan leader and the 2 elders did not come, they only needed to send someone to represent them. Hagoromo Chiharu represented the clan leader Hagoromo Ryakawa, and now that Hagoromo Teruiwa was here, he was likely representing the great elder. Hagoromo Teruiwa nodded, yes. Subsequently, the two began to chat idly. After a while, Hagoromo Tai stood up, said a few symbolic words, and then had his son and daughter-in-law bring out the 2 children. Hagoromo Tai's son looked like a young man, probably only 2 or 3 years older than Hagoromo Chiharu, with ordinary strength, a jonin. His 2 sons were twins, and their bodies looked sturdy. One had golden hair, and the other had silver hair. Since the Hagoromo family had a variety of hair colors, these 2 brothers with different hair colors didn't seem particularly strange. After all, his 2 foolish younger brothers, the 5th and 6th, also had golden and silver hair, so his hair color was actually closer to the 6th brothers. Tisk tisk. Looking at the 2 sturdy children, like little calves, Hagoromo Chiharu shook his head with a smile. Hagoromo Teruiwa, who was beside him, asked curiously, "What's wrong?" Hagoromo Chiharu glanced at the young man. "He's only 2 or 3 years older than me, but his children are already running around, and we still don't know where our wives are." Hagoromo Teruiwa looked at Hagoromo Chiharu and said, "I know." Hagoromo Chiharu looked at him with a bewildered expression. Hagoromo Teruiwa continued, "I've already gotten engaged to the former great elder's granddaughter, we're getting married next year." The former great elder, Hagoromo Ryuzen, passed away not long after the war with the Senju 3 clans ended. Only after that did Hagoromo Yukyu ascend to the position of great elder. Speaking of which, this great elder Hagoromo Ryuzen was of the generation of the current clan leader Hagoromo Ryakawa, but this great elder fell into a coma from serious injuries just a few days after Hagoromo Chiharu transmigrated. This caused Hagoromo Chiharu to have almost no impression of the former great elder. Now that Hagoromo Teruiwa suddenly brought it up, he realized that the former great elder actually had a granddaughter. "When did you get engaged to the former great elder's granddaughter?" Hagoromo Chiharu looked at him in surprise. Hagoromo Teruiwa said, "We're not engaged, it's just that I liked her, and she had no objections, so my father picked a date for us to get married next year." Hagoromo Chiharu, "You're amazing." Seeing Hagoromo Chiharu's expression, Hagoromo Teruiwa suddenly couldn't help but tease him. "I say, Chiharu, you haven't found a girl who likes you yet, have you?" Hagoromo Chiharu gave him a Byakugan, but didn't speak. Hagoromo Teruiwa was even more amused by this. "Haha, you're really too lame, no girl likes you." At this moment, Hagoromo Teruiwa finally found some sense of superiority over Hagoromo Chiharu. "Although my talent isn't as good as yours, and my strength isn't as strong as yours, I have someone to marry." "You don't, aren't you mad?" The grabbing ceremony has started. Yuhi-Chiyu behind him suddenly reminded him in a faint voice. Hagoromo Teruiwa looked at Hagoromo Chiharu, then at Yuhi-Chiyu, and after his eyes swept over the 2 of them a few times, he immediately turned his head away, looking utterly depressed. "Damn it, why didn't I notice there was a girl behind Hagoromo Chiharu? My hard-earned sense of superiority is gone again. Woo 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 woo." At this moment, Hagoromo Chiharu really wanted to thank Hagoromo Tai. "This grabbing ceremony of yours started at the perfect time." I wish your grandchildren become powerful ninja in the future. Seeing that Hagoromo Chiharu showed no reaction after she spoke, Uchiha felt a little disappointed. Chiharu just said he didn't know where his wife was, which meant he hadn't considered her at all. And even though she spoke up to help him out, Chiharu didn't say what she was hoping for. It seemed she had, after all, overthought things. But that was right. Even if Chiharu were to get married, he would surely choose a spouse from within the Hagoromo clan. How could Chiharu consider her, a girl from a small family with no outstanding bloodline? Thinking of this, Uchiha felt even more disheartened. Leaving Hagoromo Chiharu aside, Hagoromo Tai was already organizing the little golden-haired and little silver-haired boys to begin their grabbing ceremony. Naturally, a ninja's child's grabbing ceremony was different from an ordinary child's. On the ground were items such as kunai and shuriken, as well as a ninjutsu scroll and a genjutsu scroll. What? You ask why there was no taijutsu scroll? Are you kidding? Ninja in the Sengoku period were never weak in taijutsu, what would be the point of putting that out? Besides these, there were also some items typically used for ordinary children's grabbing ceremonies as extras, such as books, ropes, sickles, hoes, and fans. Little gold, little silver, go pick a few things at random. Hagoromo Tai stood by with his hands behind his back, instructing the two children. Despite being surrounded by people, with dozens of eyes fixed on them, they showed no stage fright at all. Upon hearing Hagoromo Tai's words, the two children took small steps and walked directly to the pile of items. Chiharu, what do you think they'll pick? Uchiha had already recovered from her disappointment by this time. Perhaps because she liked children, her large, ruby-like eyes were full of anticipation as she watched the little golden-haired and silver-haired boys in the middle of the grabbing ceremony. Hagoromo Chiharu stroked his chin and guessed, maybe a ninjutsu scroll, or perhaps a kunai. However, no sooner had he spoken than the little golden-haired boy picked up a palm leaf fan from the ground. Hagoromo Chiharu. Immediately after, the little silver-haired boy also showed no regard for Hagoromo Chiharu's prediction. Upon seeing a hemp rope on the ground, he bent down and started pulling at it. Seeing this scene, Hagoromo Tai's face instantly darkened. As children of a ninja, as grandchildren of a Hagoromo clan council member, these two grandsons actually picked a fan and a hemp rope. This was simply a disgrace to the family. Chapter 118. Really old 6. Father, this. The young man was also dumbfounded by the situation. What kind of thing had he given birth to? You two brats, you're members of the Hagoromo clan. Your grandfather is a strong individual in the ninja world. What are you two doing now? Are you playing around? Father, the children are young and don't understand. Hagoromo Tai's daughter-in-law also spoke up, wanting to defend her son. Then, everyone present reacted. Tai, they're just kids, they don't understand anything. Don't take it to heart, Hagoromo Teruya quickly said, trying to comfort him. Hagoromo Ishihara immediately followed up, saying, exactly, they're just kids playing around. From what I see, these two boys are naturally cut out to be ninja. Look at their physiques, how sturdy they are. That's right, with bodies like little calves, they'll definitely become strong individuals in the future. Under everyone's persuasion, Hagoromo Tai's expression finally improved. They were right. After all, they were just children and didn't understand anything. How could he get angry with them? Thinking this, Hagoromo Tai shook his head helplessly. Never mind, never mind. Everyone, please take your seats and enjoy the food and drinks. Seeing that his father was no longer angry, the young couple finally breathed a sigh of relief. However, when they tried to take away the palm leaf fans and hemp ropes from their children's hands to throw them away, they found that the two children wouldn't let go. At this, they could only cry without tears. Let's eat, let's eat. Looking at the large table of dishes, Old Six's eyes immediately lit up as he picked up the chopsticks in front of him. Old Five, who was sitting with him, also had his eyes shining and began to eat along. It wasn't until this moment that Hagoromo Kyonin realized he had done something incredibly absurd. There were a total of over a dozen people at the gathering, and most of them had come alone. Only he had brought not only two younger brothers but also a girl from another clan. At this moment, even with Hagoromo Kyonin's thick skin, he couldn't quite handle the awkwardness of the situation. So, he could only pretend that nothing had happened, silently sitting there and eating, while praying in his heart that this first birthday banquet would end quickly. He was truly so embarrassed. After an unknown period, the banquet finally ended. Everyone went their separate ways, and Hagoromo Kyonin quickly took Uchiha and the two little brats, fleeing Hagoromo Tai's house as if escaping. On the way home, the four walked, and surrounding clan members continuously greeted Hagoromo Kyonin. Finally, after reaching a less crowded area, Uchiha hesitantly asked, "Kyonin, that Hagoromo Jiaoyan is going to marry the former elder's granddaughter next year." At this point, Uchiha didn't know how to continue. Should she ask Kyonin if he had a girl he liked? That would be too direct. Should she ask Kyonin if he planned to marry a girl from the clan? That question was even more dangerous. What if Kyonin hadn't intended to, but her question reminded him, wouldn't she be digging her own grave? Upon hearing Uchiha's words, Hagoromo Kyonin couldn't help but frown. What about me? It's just, do you have a girl you like, or someone you have feelings for? Uchiha blushed and lowered her head, her voice growing softer and softer. Old 5 and Old 6 next to them were secretly smiling, standing beside the two, ready to watch the show. However, Hagoromo Kyonin, hearing this, couldn't take it anymore. Damn it, it was bad enough that he was ridiculed for not having a partner in his previous life, but now that he had transmigrated, they were still mocking him for not having a partner. They were truly going too far. The more he thought about it, the angrier Hagoromo Kyonin became. He looked at Uchiha with indignation. "Chiyu, we've known each other for so long, and I thought you were a kind and understanding girl. I never expected you to be just like that shameless Hagoromo Jiaoyan, mocking me for not having a partner right in front of me. I truly misjudged you." At this moment, even Uchiha's mind couldn't quite process it. Her previously blushing cheeks immediately lost their redness, and she froze in place. Old 5 and Old 6 next to her were even more exaggerated. Their eyes widened, and their mouths dropped open, almost letting their chins hit the ground. "Wow, Ni-san, you're so amazing." At this point, Uchiha also reacted. "That's not what I meant. Kyonin, why is your thought process so different from normal people?" Then, she quickly spoke. "Kyonin, Alright, I know what you mean," Hagoromo Kyonin interrupted Uchiha. Uchiha suddenly felt a glimmer of hope. Really? I know that in this chaotic era, it's indeed important to marry early, but just because I don't have a partner, you shouldn't mock me so wantonly. I am, after all, the young clan leader of the Hagoromo clan. Can't you show me a little respect? Uchiha, I shouldn't have had any expectations, should I? At this moment, Old 5 next to them finally couldn't stand it anymore. "Ni-san, have you lost your mind?" Hagoromo Kyonin instantly turned his head to look at Old 5. "What did you say?" Old 5, I said, "Ni-san, you're so handsome. At least you're sensible." Old 6 looked at Old 5 with disdain. "You're so embarrassing." Old 5, I feel so wrong. Watch me. Old 6 raised an eyebrow at Old 5, then suddenly blurted out to Hagoromo Kyonin, "Ni-san, sister-in-law Chiyu means she wants to marry you." After saying that, Old 6 turned and ran. Old 5, left behind, was instantly dumbfounded. "No, you ran, what am I supposed to do?" Old 6, "Wait for me." While Hagoromo Kyonin was still in a daze, Old 5, having reacted, quickly shouted and chased after him. That shout also woke Hagoromo Kyonin and Uchiha from their stunned states. Seeing Hagoromo Kyonin's gaze fixed on her, Uchiha lowered her head with a shy expression, while silently muttering about Old 5 and Old 6 in her heart. These two younger brothers of Kyonin are really annoying. Seeing Uchiha's reaction, Hagoromo Kyonin suddenly felt a sense of helplessness. What on earth had he just done? Heaven, please strike me down with lightning and kill me. I want to be alone. At this moment, an awkward atmosphere suddenly arose between the two. After a full 10 seconds or so, Hagoromo Kyonin finally scratched his head, a forced smile on his face. "Well, shall we go home?" Uchiha, hearing this, didn't look up, but merely nodded slightly and whispered, "Okay. We're going home." This could be considered an answer. Uchiha felt a sweet satisfaction in her heart. In the alley, a man and a woman walked side by side, slowly heading towards home. Chapter 119 Emergency Clan Meeting. After the first birthday celebration of Little Goldie and Little Silver, the Land of Fire enjoyed a rare 2 years of peace, with no major incidents occurring. Of course, this peace was not truly peaceful. In times of war, conflict never ceased, no matter the location. However, compared to the previous years, which saw the Senju clan and 2 other clans unite to attack the Hagoromo, or the Senju and Uchiha clans engage in a full-scale war due to the daimyo, these past 2 years have been relatively calm. During these 2 years, the major clans have largely avoided large-scale battles, with only minor skirmishes taking place. Therefore, people felt that the Land of Fire was much quieter in these 2 years compared to previous ones. Until, Chihin, someone is looking for you outside. Hagoromo Chihin was in his room contemplating new ninjutsu when Chiyu opened the door and walked in. Over 2 years, their relationship had not made any substantial progress. Because Hagoromo Chihin always remembered one thing: Chiyu's father, the former head of the Yuhi clan, was killed by him in conjunction with Hagoromo Taro. Although only he and Hagoromo Taro knew about this, it was still a hidden danger. Before this issue was resolved, he could not further develop his relationship with Chiyu. So, Chiyu's role now was more like Hagoromo Chihin's secretary, usually helping him handle various trivial matters. Other than that, there was nothing else. Hearing that someone was looking for him, Hagoromo Chihin asked, "Who is it?" Chiyu shook her head, "I don't know him." Hagoromo Chihin frowned slightly upon hearing this, then stood up and walked towards the door. Chiyu followed, a troubled expression on her face. She had originally thought that after what happened 2 years ago, her relationship with Chihin could progress further. But she hadn't expected that after that, Chihin acted as if nothing had happened, which left her pondering, unable to understand what had gone wrong. At the main gate, a Chunin was anxiously waiting. Seeing Hagoromo Chihin emerge, he quickly approached. "Young clan leader, the clan leader has called a clan meeting. Please proceed quickly." Hagoromo Chihin's face immediately became solemn. "What's going on?" It wasn't that clan meetings hadn't been called before, but such an urgent summons was a rare occurrence. The Chunin's face showed sorrow mixed with indignation. Lord Titanium has sacrificed himself." What did you say?" Hagoromo Chihin was somewhat stunned. "Are you talking about Uncle Titanium?" The Chunin nodded without speaking. Seeing this, Hagoromo Chihin's mind instantly buzzed. Just over a week ago, Uncle Titanium had visited him with Little Goldie and Little Silver. How could he have suddenly sacrificed himself? After he came to his senses, Hagoromo Chihin grabbed the other person's collar. How did Uncle Titanium sacrifice himself? "Young clan leader, you'll know when you go to the clan meeting." Hagoromo Chihin let go of the other person's collar and turned to rush to the clan meeting. The Chunin, seeing this, turned and disappeared to notify other clan members. Moving at full speed, Hagoromo Chihin continuously leapt across rooftops, arriving at the entrance of the clan meeting shrine in no time. "Young clan leader." The guards bowed in greeting, and Hagoromo Chihin nodded as he entered. "Father, what happened with Uncle Titanium?" As soon as he entered, Hagoromo Chihin immediately asked. Hagoromo Rugawa, seated at the head, had a dark expression. "Sit down first. We'll talk when everyone is here." With his words, Hagoromo Rugawa closed his eyes, trying to calm himself, and said no more. Seeing this, Hagoromo Chihin could only take a deep breath and sit in his designated seat. Time slowly passed, and after about 2 minutes, everyone had arrived. The 3 at the head were clan leader Hagoromo Rugawa, along with first elder Hagoromo Ryuga, and second elder Hagoromo Masakata. Next were Hagoromo Chihin, and 4 top elite Jonin: Hagoromo Taro, Hagoromo Ishihara, Hagoromo Hakuno, and Hagoromo Juju. Originally, 6 top elite Jonin should have participated in the clan meeting, but the remaining top elite Jonin, Hagoromo Ken, was out on a mission. And the other top elite Jonin, Hagoromo Titanium, was the reason for this clan meeting. 8 powerful individuals gathered, none speaking, making the clan meeting shrine feel incredibly oppressive. After a few breaths, Hagoromo Rugawa opened his eyes and said, "I presume everyone already knows, Titanium has sacrificed himself." Clan leader, what exactly happened? Hagoromo Taro's hands, resting on the table, clenched tightly. Although the others did not speak, their faces were also filled with anger. After glancing at the crowd, Hagoromo Rugawa said with cold eyes, it was the Shimura clan. The first elder, Hagoromo Ryuga, added, a week ago, clan members in the Land of Earth received news of chakra metal, and it was a significant amount, enough to forge 3 or 4 katanas. So, Titanium proactively accepted the mission to go and purchase it. However, on his way back after acquiring the chakra metal, Titanium passed near the Shimura clan and was accidentally discovered by Shimura Kansuke, who was out by chance. The two then engaged in combat. Titanium was not Shimura Kansuke's match, so he was forced to use a secret Hagoromo ninjutsu to repel Shimura Kansuke, but ultimately sacrificed himself. Only 2 accompanying Chunin escaped with their lives under Titanium's cover. Upon hearing this, the clan members instantly exploded with rage. Damn it, it's Shimura again. That bastard Shimura Kansuke. Clan leader, give the order. Avenge Titanium. It should be known that the Hagoromo were a first-rate ninja clan in the Land of Fire. Even after the 4-clan war 5 or 6 years ago, where the Sanju, along with the Sarutobi and Shimura, besieged the Hagoromo, causing the Hagoromo clan to decline significantly. But even now, the Hagoromo still had 3 clan leader-level powerhouses guarding them, coupled with the foundation of an ancient ninja clan. The Hagoromo clan remained an unshakable first-rate ninja clan. Yet now, a clan powerhouse had sacrificed himself outside just like that. That dog, Shimura Kansuke, clearly didn't put the Hagoromo clan in his eyes. If they didn't react to the sacrifice of Hagoromo Titanium, wouldn't the other ninja clans in the Land of Fire follow suit and all come to step on the Hagoromo? Therefore, the Hagoromo clan must now seek an explanation for Hagoromo Titanium's sacrifice. Looking at the indignant clan members, Hagoromo Rugawa's eyes narrowed slightly. The Shimura clan must pay the price for this. However, how exactly to retaliate against the Shimura clan and how to proceed with the action, we must now discuss and come up with a plan. Everyone, please share your thoughts. Hagoromo Taro was the first to speak. How about the clan leader and the first elder lead as to directly eliminate the Shimura clan? Hagoromo Hakuno immediately objected. No, the clan leader must remain in charge of the clan and cannot act rashly. Hagoromo Juju then suggested, then how about the first elder? Chapter 120 Uncomfortable. Looking at the constantly discussing crowd, Ago Chihana, whose heart was filled with anger, stood up directly. I've decided that I will lead the team to eradicate the Shimura clan this time. Second elder, Ago Taro, and Ago Ishihara will come with me. I've said my piece. Who agrees, and who opposes? After speaking, Ago Chihana scanned the people sitting in the room. Second elder Ago Masakata, who was sitting at the head, immediately stood up and declared, I am willing to obey the young clan leader's command. Ago Taro followed closely. Me too. Ago Ishihara, who initially had some reservations, also stood up upon seeing this, changing his tune and saying, I have no objections. However, although he agreed verbally, Ago Ishihara still felt a bit dejected inside. Ago Taro already greatly admired the young clan leader, so his standing up to support the young clan leader was within Ago Ishihara's expectations. But the second elder being the first to stand up and support the young clan leader was somewhat beyond Ago Ishihara's expectations. After all, in terms of status, the second elder was even higher than Ago Chihana, the young clan leader. How could the second elder now be even more supportive of the young clan leader than Ago Taro? This was truly surprising. Of course, Ago Ishihara's reservations were not because he refused to acknowledge Ago Chihana as the young clan leader. It was just that, since they were about to lead the Ago clan to war against the Shimura clan, he still trusted the clan leader more than Ago Chihana, the young clan leader. It was a pity that Ago Chihana had only chosen 3 people in total, and 2 of them had already stood up in support, with Ago Masakata being the second elder. If he were to object, wouldn't he be asking for trouble? Therefore, Ago Ishihara could only obediently stand up and follow Ago Masakata and Ago Taro in supporting the young clan leader. Seeing that the 3 people Ago Chihana had chosen had all responded immediately, clan leader Ago Ryuzan felt a bit surprised. When did this brat Chihana become so popular? Ago Taro and Ago Ishihara, those 2 top elite jonin, were one thing, but the second elder Ago Masakata was actually the first to respond to Chihana. What was going on? However, even though his heart was full of confusion, Ago Ryuzan's face showed no expression. He looked at Ago Chihana, who already possessed a hint of a clan leader's demeanor, and asked, "Are you confident?" Ago Chihana looked at him solemnly. "Yes, in a one-on-one fight, I am absolutely confident I can defeat Shimura Kansuke, not to mention having the second elder assisting me." Seeing Ago Chihana's confidence, clan leader Ago Ryuzen nodded. "Good, in that case, you will be the commander for this mission. The second elder, Taro, and Ishihara will assist from the side, leading half of the ninja from the clan to attack the Shimura clan." He didn't want to delve into why Chihana could gain the support of the second elder and others, he only knew that Chihana now indeed possessed the strength to deal with Shimura Kansuke. Possessing strength comparable to a clan leader and having the support of the crowd, what reason did he have to stop his son? Clan leader. First elder Ago Ryaku wanted to say something but didn't know how to begin. After all, both the clan leader and the second elder had agreed, and the other members of the clan meeting had no objections. It seemed inappropriate for him to speak out against it. Finally, he could only turn to Ago Masakata. "Second elder, please be sure to act cautiously. This was war, and it couldn't be taken lightly." He didn't trust Ago Chihana, who was still young, so he could only ask the second elder to worry more about it. Ago Masakata responded solemnly, "Understood." With the war discussions concluded, Ago Chihana nodded slightly to his father, Ago Ryuzen, then turned and left the clan. Meeting shrine. Ago Masakata, Ago Taro, and Ago Ishihara followed closely behind. Outside the gate, Ago Chihana said, "Uncle Masakata, you go organize the ninja within the clan for assembly. Taro, Ishihara, you two go gather supplies." "Yes." Ago Masakata immediately accepted the order. "Understood." Young clan leader. Ago Taro and Ago Ishihara also responded, and then the three of them turned and left. Looking at the retreating figures of the three, Ago Chihana nodded in satisfaction. This was why he chose these three people. To deal with the Shimura clan, it was safer to bring along a clan leader level expert. Among the Ago clan's three clan leader level experts, clan leader Ago Ryuzen and first elder Ago Ryaku, if those two went, who would command whom would be a problem. If it was the clan leader, then it would definitely be a father commanding his son. If it was the first elder, Ago Chihana wanted to command everyone, but the first elder would definitely disagree. If the battlefield commander's orders were not unified, that could lead to big problems. Therefore, only Ago Masakata, the second elder, was the most suitable. As for the two top elite jonin, Ago Taro and Ago Ishihara, he had cooperated with them a few times. He could sense that Ago Taro greatly admired him. As for Ago Ishihara, although this person was more willing to obey the clan leader's orders, with their previous cooperation and having Ago Masakata and Ago Taro beside him, he would definitely do his best on the battlefield. Therefore, considering all the above points, these three were the best candidates for this attack on the Shimura clan. As he walked, Ago Chihana arrived at the main entrance of Ago Tai's house. At this time, clan members who had learned of Ago Tai's death also came one after another to mourn. Young clan leader. Young clan leader. ... The clan members greeted him one by one, and Ago Chihana nodded in response, quickly entering the main house. Inside the house, there was an ordinary coffin, and inside the coffin was a ceramic jar, which contained grayish-white powder. This was the consequence of using the Ago secret technique. No matter which layer you used, you would eventually turn into a pile of ashes or similar, without exception. A few years ago, when ambushing the Sarutobi Shimura clan territory, Ago Chihana had personally witnessed two accompanying jonin turn into dust. He never expected to see such a thing again today. Just as Ago Chihana was lost in thought, he felt his pant leg being tugged twice by something. Looking down, he saw two children. "Uncle Chihana, are you here to see Grandpa?" Hearing this, Ago Chihana's mouth couldn't help but twitch twice. "Good kids, call me Big Brother. I'm so young. If this were before I transmigrated, girls would call me Little Big Brother. Is it appropriate for you little brats to call me Uncle?" Little Jinmao asked with a puzzled expression. "But, didn't you call Grandpa Uncle?" Little Yinmao nodded along. "That's right, you call Grandpa Uncle, so is calling you Uncle, isn't that right?" Ago Chihana. "Makes sense. But I'm still so young, and you call me Uncle so naturally. I'm so sad."